We're gonna try this. We're we're here. We're doing the basement after dark. Um we just got finished streaming over on Rob at Northern Revolution's channel, and some of us are still just sitting here drinking some beers, enjoying the Wednesday, and figured would jump on for whatever it is worth. Yeah, let's see. Click around here. Da, 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 da. Oh, look at that. Hey, what's going on, Trevor? And AZ Mick, hey man. Or I'm assuming man, I probably shouldn't assume that, but hey, just uh awesome. Hey, thanks. I put in like the tag, this is like the Prog tag sort of thing, mostly because I posted that and there were a lot of questions in Rob's channel or in Rob's chat when he was doing the stream. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of questions that people were asking. So figured, hey, maybe there's some people that will come over and ask some more questions about the Prog people. Cardboard Head Guy, what's your favorite album from 1974? Well, truthfully, I have no fucking idea. No, I really, really struggle with ranking videos, which I think is why I'm forcing myself to try to do them, which is why I'm doing like my top 50 from 1974. I think I'm good with like ranking in sections. So I could do like 1 through 10 in terms of like, here are my 10 favorite, here are my next 10 favorite. But I would struggle doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll see. And the other thing too is that it's so hard. It's so hard when you're talking about different types of music. Like, how do you compare a Badfinger record to a Deep Purple record to a Genesis record to a Miles Davis record? You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard. So yeah, you'll have to stay tuned. But I'm curious to hear what you would pick. Marsha, this came up last week. If we needed a title, sometimes me and Sam and Jason and some others are still going after the stream, so we wanted to do like a follow-up. So we decided on the basement after dark. You're in the right place, but Marsha, I don't know if you're old enough to be here for the content. So yeah, just want to put it out there. Hey Marsha, hi Mick, Marsha, all the different things. Hey, what's up, Art? Hey, I just want to say thanks, man. I've been, following you for a really long time, and truthfully, when I posted that tag, you were one of the people that I was sitting here thinking, I hope Art jumps on this because I knew you're going to do a killer job with it. And yeah, I think in terms of prog and progressive rock, I mean, you're just one of the best out there. So appreciate you jumping on. I'm really looking forward to your video and other people's too. So yeah, thanks for jumping on that. I can imagine that good connection out there in the mountains. So yeah, Marsha, I'm going to call you out. A lot of tags out there. I don't see you jumping on. A lot of tags out there. But Marsha, I think you should also do it was funny. We just got off the stream with Rob and Sam and Jason, and none of them are progressive rock fans, but we were joking that they were all going to post a video as like a joke, which I totally support. I think would be hilarious. And there was I don't know if anybody's searched for it. There is like a parody video out there about the Prog tag amongst other types of genre specific tags that I thought was hilarious. So I'm all in on that. Central Florida. What's the weather like down there, Marsha? It is cold and windy here. Very windy. We've been under like a wind advisory all day and tomorrow. Marsha, with the growth that your channel has experienced over the past week, your confidence should be at an all-time high. I mean, this should not, I mean, what, you have like 4,000 subscribers now. Everybody is smashing that bell or whatever. I can't imagine why you wouldn't have the confidence to do the Americana tag. Oh, hey, Sam, are you changing some guitar strings over there and then also getting your guitar ready to play? I forgot I didn't send you a link. Sam, if you want to join, let me know. This is a good point. You know, I will say every time I say Prague, I think of the city of Prague. So there's that. All right, Sam, just let me hold on here. Let me figure out how to do this. All right. Still new to this whole thing. Can't really figure it out. You know, Marcia, this is a great question. We talked a lot about this, that there's a lot of crossover in a lot of different genres. I was talking earlier, and I know you're not the biggest fan of this album. You like it, you just don't think it's like the greatest thing that other people make it out to be. But I think there's a strong argument that No Other from Gene Clark is a progressive album. I'm not going to say it's a prog album, but you know, an album that certainly has progressive elements. Let's see. How do I? All right. Okay, somebody in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and lean on someone like Trevor, because Trevor, you're such a great person. If I'm like looking at my StreamYard, how do I find the link to invite somebody? Anthony, you are the man, and I can't wait. I haven't watched it yet. Maybe maybe Sam will show a little bit, maybe when he jumps on here. But trying to, I know he just got like a 45-pound vinyl CD something VCLT from you. Okay, listen, Trevor, you don't need to be a jerk about it. Okay. Oh, the invite, but I just found it. Let's freaking go. All right. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate you, brother. You're a good man. Good guy. Sam, it's going to be in your email. I can't post it on here because, you know, then you get the trolls and the people, you know, the whole thing. I got a lot of fans out there and a lot of people who want to do the thing. So I understand that. We're back. The invite button, you know, again, thank you for that. Zach is in the house. Sounds like Zach's on a work trip. Greetings from San Antonio. San Antonio just had a big win over those greats. Actually, here you go. San Antonio just had a huge win all over Trevor and Marcia's Detroit Pistons, who are still rolling at about 3 wins this year. And as bad as San Antonio is, they got twice as many wins at 6. Marcia, I love when we agree with each other. It just makes for a much better and healthier relationship, and I just think that's great. You know, Carly, if you remember, I was going to go grab it, but, you know, I'm on screen, I'm streaming, I can't do it. The Froggy Beaver record, man. Like the Froggy Beaver. It's got a big picture of a frog all over it. So I'm all in on frog rock. I love frog. Yes, Marcia, I could tell you're definitely into sports ball. That's like your whole thing is sports ball, right? Ooh. YouTube user. Love that. Oh, hey, Sam. Welcome.
Hey there.
You know, Sam, I got to tell you, because I know he's watching. I've been kind of a gatekeeper. Do you ever get protective over your friends?
Yeah.
Right? Because you care about them. And you're also looking out for yourself. And I've come to this realization recently that you and I get along great, right? Like I'd say we're close, we're tight, we have a similar sense of humor. Clearly, the same that drives other people crazy. And yes, I think Glenn and Rob hate us for sure.
Yeah. Canadians.
But it's got to be an American thing.
Canadians are known to be mean.
I've struggled with this. I'm going to tell you because I know he's watching. It's Dave. Dave, oh my gosh. This is fantastic. Sorry, Dave from the Vinyl Garage. This is, I mean, Sam, you've seen the videos of my haul from the Vinyl Garage. This is my best friend's dad. He's like a second dad to me, like a family to me. Cool. I should have known when he was talking about homebrewing a Christmas ale a month after Christmas that it was Dave. Dave, welcome. Outstanding. I was gonna wow, this just wild. But I was gonna tell you, Sam, that I've struggled because my brother, older brother, so there's already some competition there, right? There's already an interesting relationship with your older brother.
Okay.
He's told me, he's like, dude, I think Sam and I would get along.
Is this Zach in the comments?
This is Zach, and I was like, yeah, you probably would, because y'all music, like the music crossover. So, like, I feel like he sends me a lot of artists and a lot of albums to check out. And like my immediate thought with most of them is like, oh yeah, it's fine for what it is, but I bet you Dumb Sam would like this. Not to say that you're Dumb Sam, but for the sake of the conversation. And so
What's your friend say?
I've always been like, look, Zach, don't call him, don't email him, don't add him on Instagram. Like, that's my friend, Zach. You cannot have my friend.
Oh, okay.
I'm protective about that, because then all of a sudden he's gonna be visiting Roanoke. Y'all are gonna be eating calzones together, and it's just not.
From what restaurant, Alex?
Mac and Booze.
Duh.
Obviously.
No. So in that regard, like in terms of like the merging of friend groups, and for those that don't know, I am restringing a guitar, so my sister is like that, where she doesn't want friend groups to merge, even though there's like 100% opportunity where like, oh, y'all will get along, blah blah blah. Like even like we're gonna get philosophical here. Like even like in the dating world, it's like we don't want. I don't like. There's might be this person that you might like, but they're my friend. Not that my sister has that, but anyway. It's that kind of thing. So I'm not quite that bad, but I do get like, I'm like, when these two worlds merge, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Carly, my sister, says that she always felt that you and her would be enemies. It's tough. I don't know.
Which is funny, because I mentioned my friend Tommy in the last video, and our mutual friend now, Ross, who Tommy knew years ago when they used to work together, and now we've become friends. Before Ross met me, he was like, yeah, Sam and I are enemies because we're fighting for Tommy's attention. But in reality, Ross and I get along well. We're in group chats together. So that's funny that your sister would say that.
Oh, yeah. Marcia says, are you afraid your brother is going to do the Americana tag and then become best friends with Sam? Truthfully, yeah. I do feel like that's going to be the thing. It's like, what's the line? It's like, your brother is the one they told you not to worry about. It's like Mr. Steal Your Girl, Mr. Steal Your Ball, Mr. Steal Your Sam.
Steal your tag.
The whole thing. Now, Sam, as you're restringing that, and since Carly is here in the comments, she would appreciate this. So I told you the story before. I think I probably told Carly the story before, but we have a mutual connection, I would say. Carly and I saw the Head and the Heart here several years ago.
Okay.
And that's the classic story of me having about 4 too many Jack and Coke, about 5 too many Jack and Cokes, and screaming the wrong lyrics to Down in the Valley at the top of my lungs in a theater setting, and probably just embarrassing her no end. But that was about.
That's right.
What? Yeah. There was some point, I can't think of her name. It's the PBRs. What's the woman's name in Head in the Heart?
Charity Rose.
Charity. So during one of the songs, she had like a verse bit, and of course when she sings, everybody gets really quiet, and so I'm in the back just screaming, "Let them fucking know, Charity!" And then this whole I've been to California and Oklahoma, and I know there's California and Oklahoma and all the places I've never been. I know the line, Sam. Relax. Let's see. I'll get to that in a second. Oh, gambling. Look, Anthony, you gotta be careful dropping lines like this in the chat, man. This is a family show. We don't need me having what do you call it up there? A gorgasm? Is that the name? None of that needs to happen. Carly makes a great point here. Someone was supposed to pay for those tickets. In fact, that was the only reason we went. Carly, if you remember, great. It was a good show. I do remember us talking about it. It was a little bit boring. Maybe it was boring for you because you weren't about 40 beers deep. But I do remember us having, and by us having, it's true. We had a taco 12 pack after the show, Sam.
Oh, that's right.
And I had about 10 of those. So there's that. Sam, question for you from Cardboard Head Guy. This has come up before, and I know you got management to talk to, and there's a lot of press releases out there, but Cosmic Torpedoes, man, if you're going to add a third member, you need some low end. Is that what you need?
It's either low end or somebody just like holding down like the brushes on the snare. I know in a former life, I know Aaron Mutha Alamere played drums, which that would be interesting. And obviously Chris Prophy is an acoustic guitar guy. Steve played bass. He
Yeah.
would be the low end guy. I don't know how, how into it he is now. I think he's sold all his instruments, maybe with like one exception. But yeah, I would either for drums I'd go with Aaron. For bass I'd go with Steve.
So one of my favorite stories to tell, I probably told you, back in high school we were in some bands, and it was actually fun the way it worked. Me and my best friend Sean were in a band, and then two other guys who later became some of our best friends were also in a band. But we were both like duos. Like we were both like these bands that like, it's high school, you only had like two people, whatever. And so when we were juniors, we were applying for the high school, the Northeast Ohio High School Rock Off. So this was like the official Northeast Ohio Battle of the Bands, sponsored by, wait for it, Live Nation.
Wow.
Held at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So
it would be.
So it was like, all the artists had to, or all the bands had to like send in their, like a tape of, like a demo or something like that. And then like you got invited to play and all this stuff. So basically it was like, well, we're not going to be able to compete as a demo. So like, long story short, the two duos sort of combined and became a four-piece, a quartet, if you will, or as I like to call it, a foursome. So we all came together and they were like, well, Alex, you are by far the least talented musician of any of us, and we need someone to play the bass. So maybe this is good for you. And it taught me at the time of like, there's a very big difference between a bassist and someone who can play bass, right?
Yes.
And I was someone who could play bass. And so we did the thing, and the ongoing inside joke that I still laugh at today, even though this was, 15, almost 20 years ago at this point, was the only bass line I really knew in terms of like, quote unquote, showing off in a way that people would recognize and appreciate was the intro bass line to Radar Love by Golden Earring. So just that, and so whenever there was any sort of sound check at any show ever, right? It's like the class, you've done this a million times when they're like, all right, we're going to do a sound check. It's like, what do you play? Well, all the other actual people who were good at playing music were just over there ripping. They're just, they're singing. They're just doing amazing. So I distinctly remember, this has become the big inside joke in the band, and I'm on the freaking stage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a 16-year-old kid, and it's a quote unquote sold out because like people were all there supporting like their kids and shit.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds of people in this audience. I think it was like 1,100 people out there, and you're sound checking in front of everybody because it was a battle of bands, so like they were rotating bands every like 40 minutes. But still like checking sound, and they go, all right, let's get some bass out of there. Bass for the bass. So everybody looks around, and it's dead quiet in there. Everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, well, this hasn't failed me yet.
So you hit it.
And that's all I could play, which, at the time.
That's hilarious.
So we played all, so we were called the Meltdown. So we made it to the finals. So we made it to like the final 12 bands, but we didn't end up placing. And we think the reason we didn't place was because we only had one original. I mean, these other bands in there were just insane.
What was the style? Like, what kind of style were you playing?
Well, let me tell you. I mean, our singer, who later went to music school and then later joined a bunch of bands. I mean, he was like
his name is Adam Lambert.
How'd you know?
Yeah.
He was like this 15-year-old Robert Plant / like if you remember, I think his name's Andrew Stockdale from Wolfmother. Like,
okay,
if you remember Wolfmother when they came out, they were like a more garagey version of like Led Zeppelin type stuff. But our set list was, we started with a medley which went from "We're Gonna Groove" from Zeppelin off Coda,
wow,
into "Woman" by Wolfmother, into "Communication Breakdown" by Zeppelin.
Wow.
And then
you were ballsy with two Zeps.
Two Zeppelins, but also like, I mean, Communication Breakdown is a popular one, but opening up with a song from Coda, I mean, like
Everybody's favorite album.
Everybody's favorite album, right? It's a classic. We did It Ain't, another deep cut. We did It Ain't Easy from Bowie, which is off of, yeah, it's right. It's like the most unknown song off of it sounds just like it, Sam.
You can't have a lightning bolt, you can't see it.
Right. We did the big one. So we actually, and then we completely switched it up. I think we usually closed with Steady As She Goes from the Rockin' Tours. He was a huge Jack White fan.
Bass song.
And it was a great bass line. That was the only like remember bass line I remember, like that doo 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 doo. And the big one that changed my life forever was we did I Am the Walrus.
Wow. I'm still listening.
And I was lead woos. I mean, I was lead backing vocals, Sam. And as someone who knows my voice, you know what a great job I did with that.
Wow.
You know, FEA, I'm serious here, my man. I need, like, you got to do the prog tag, man. You put so much in that chat, and I was sitting there and I was like, I just want to have a whole conversation with you. So I would love to see you do that, man. Obviously, hey, no pressure, but that would be cool.
I'm wiping off Wild Feather's dust.
Yeah. And then cleaning your guitar.
So my friends and I, with that joke, because that joke was, this is really just for me and Alex right now. For those that are watching, my friends and I got to a point where we would make that joke without actually ever saying the joke. So like we would say something, somebody would be like, like he's cleaning his neck. And then we just look at each other and do like this. We'd hit this move, which we'd never have to do it with Alex. I'm like, I want you to like agree with me but you weren't with me in college. So like, you'd be like, oh yeah, you're cleaning your neck. And then I would just go like
cleaning your neck. Yeah.
But that would be the implication that I'm making the joke without actually saying the joke so that we didn't look like fools.
Of course.
In front of everybody in the cafeteria.
Never. We would never. Anthony, I'm curious. Well, Anthony, did you jump on that Kiss tag? I think I saw it because I think did Racer create that? Racer's a good channel. I'm not to just talk about other channels. Well, yeah, talk about other channels, whatever. I think Racer is a fairly new channel. I ran into him. He's another Canadian. Ran into him through the vinyl tag thing. I think he's like grown a lot in the past like week or whatever since the tag. But good channel. But he created a Kiss tag. And
wow.
It's so funny with those tags, and obviously Sam, you created a tag. I created a tag. We're just a bunch of tag creators out here. To me, it's like, how do you make one that is like that makes the people within that genre feel good about it and validated and excited?
Yeah.
But also make it accessible enough that people who sort of dabble in it can also do their own version of it too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and that's like because obviously like the big one right now is Rob Walker.
Yeah,
and he did a great job with it. But like I didn't want to like follow Rob's exactly, but like obviously like you have to go with the template of like oh you want to show something like this or something like this. But, like I wasn't gonna like copy Rob's answers, but just like copy and paste the word Americana into it. So that was big for me, and like you said, there's so many out there, and I know that mine is so niche, but also like I want the people that like it because like Harry's Music Room has been the one that I've talked about a lot. He was like in his video today, he was like thankful that it's out there. He's like, I don't talk about this genre enough, but then he pointed to his record collection. He's got like 7 or 8 cubes of his like IKEA shelf. He's like, that's all alternative country rock, Americana. He's like, I just don't talk about it because he's such a Beatles guy and such a 60s like San Francisco guy that's mostly what he talks about because obviously we know what gets views. I mean, if you want to gain 10 subscribers, put up a Beatles short, And you want, at the end of the day, you want your channel to be you. So like, I love the Beatles are my favorite band, period. No discussion. I might do 2 or 3 Beatles videos a year. And even then, I'm like, I feel like an idiot. Kind of like what you were saying on your Beatles tag. Like, I feel like an idiot talking about the Beatles when there's guys like Northern Revolutions and, you know, Matthew Street and guys like that are like killing it with like, you know, all these pressing, or Mazzy, like you hear all these pressings. I'm like, okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Question, Sam. Sam, question for you in the gallery. Go ahead, get up. Yeah, pull your sweater down. We don't need it. Yeah.
Pull your sweater down. Yeah, I'm self-conscious here.
Was this like Sam, I know you're into like the sons of forgotten Americana artists. Is this the son of Davy Crockett?
It is.
Is it really?
No. No, Charlie Crockett. I have this album. I was part of the did you ever do Magnolia Record Club?
Like, I always heard about it, but I never did it. No.
So that way they do like, you know, limited pressings and like cool color variants, and like it's, you know, they monthly records. This is that's a really sturdy piece of vinyl.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It's like a chocolate brown kind of, but
ooh, yeah, it is.
Charlie Crockett's one of those guys, like he pulls the traditional country sound, kind of like Sturgill Simpson. But I mean, he's way more the traditional, but he's a young guy. I mean, he's like, you know, our generation. But I think he's one of those guys too. That this is the only record that I have. This is called "The Man from Waco," which is funny because the label is called "Son of Davy," which is hilarious.
It's like I knew.
But I think he's one of those guys, like he'll put out 2 or 3 records a year and not think about it. I think he just put out, like that came out like a year and a half ago. I think he's got 3 records out since then. But no, Zach, tell me about him.
Yeah, Zach could tell you. Yeah,
he does have a very good Austin City Limits. That's where I first heard about him. I'm like, dang, that dude is really talented.
That's probably why. I might tell you, Zach's in Austin, so.
Oh.
And him and I have so he's all about the I think they call it like what, red dirt country, like the
red dirt country, yeah,
that Texas, Oklahoma sort of stuff. Zach and I have a good inside joke regarding Waco too, but what I was going to ask you is, do you remember Davy Crockett's right hand man? His, like, you know, the Batman to the Robin. Do you know Davy Crockett's right hand man?
Tell me.
Daniel Boone. Do you remember that movie? Did you ever watch that movie, Zach? I need you in the comments, or maybe I don't know. Somebody.
Except Daniel Boone was like 50 years before Davy Crockett. But
listen, there was some kind of movie that I remember growing up watching, which was some like 80s or 90s adaptation of some sort of Davy Crockett movie. Like Zach, I'm just really depending on you. So in your hotel room, and okay, it's a Disney movie.
Oh, you're talking about the Fess Parker one from the 50s with Buddy Epson from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Well, I remember watching it in the 90s, Sam.
Yeah, that's from the 70s. I mean, the 60s, my guy.
First of all, I'm not your guy. Okay, that's offensive.
You're not Mac and Bobby.
Let's see this. You know, okay, yeah, I can't do that. Marsha, start. Yeah, just do it. Do it. Yeah, do it. I'll be honest. Here's the thing, Marsha. This might blow you away. I saw a video from Scott over at the Prog Corner.
Red Stick, Zach, I see you.
Who's great. Scott's so great, but one of his recent posts was like, you know, 12 borderline prog bands that fall within like new wave. And I'm not saying that Duran Duran's new wave, but kind of within that family. And Duran Duran was on the list. And I do think like instrumentally and the way that they incorporated sound, I mean, I think I think Duran Duran could easily be considered a band that is progressive. So
Tears for Fears, when Kurt Smith left and it was just Roland Orzabal, which yes, I know the members of Tears for Fears names. I shouldn't. But Roland did. Great. He did like 2. You know, he did 2 or 3 records just as him, but he called it Tears for Fears because he knew that would sell. But I think he did an album that was like, apparently it's like a 60s inspired album, like sometime in like the 80s. And a lot of people say that's one of the best Tears for Fears albums because it's kind of like when XTC did their thing. He kind of went back and did like the 60s revival, like probably like when like That Thing You Do was popular and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
But he made like a 60s psych record as Tears for Fears, which again, that can be progressive.
Easy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sam, entertain the crowd for a little bit. I got to run to the restroom.
He fights Red Stick. Yes, he does. That's the Native American warrior But yeah, I can't because Alex is the host. I can't pull up comments, but I'm reading your comments. And Zach, while Alex is gone, feel free to hit me up on the socials, and Alex can just deal with crossover relationships. So you'll become my favorite dudek over Alex. But what else do we have? Carly says, was Long Lost by Lord Huron successful in its mission to recreate haunted Americana, or did they get two? I have I have 3 copies of Long Lost. You might know. It's weird to have this door open. That was my favorite album of 2021, and there we go. I mean, all of Lord Huron stuff is so produced in that style, and I always compare them to like the uninitiated as like Chris Isaac production. But even like Strange Trails, that was more Americana, because that one actually feels more like woodsy. Long Lost was very much cinematic, and that's what I say. Like that song "I Lied." You want to bring a tear. I listened during a very dark period of my life. I listened to "I Lied" far too much, and it probably didn't do me any favors.
You were able to see Carly's message about Lord Huron?
Yeah, I can see the messages. I just can't pull them up.
You just can't pull them up. Gotcha.
I was just in hers. I haven't gotten further than that.
Yeah, that was one of the huge bands that are huge, but like one of the big artists that Carly got me into was Lord Huron. So that was cool when there was sort of that. I can't imagine why you two wouldn't get along. You could just talk about Lord Huron in that 45-minute song that closes whatever that most
Times Blur. I was just talking about I have 2 different color variants and the CD. But
well, and funny,
I'm getting along with your siblings, and I said that they can become my favorites of your family.
Oh, and I'll just go fuck myself. So,
no, I love you.
Yeah. Well, and I remember, what was the name of that record? Was it Long Lost?
Long Lost was the most recent. With like
most recent one. So they were one of the first that did. So we were talking about how the guy does all the artwork, right? Because he's like a painter and artist.
Ben Schneider. Yeah.
But he also did, because you mentioned you had 2 different like color variants, but he also had put out like a number of the different actual covers that were like a different painting.
Yeah, like it was like a record company.
Right. Yeah, it was like a thing that went out, like it was one of those, like you could go to like a local record store and they might have it, but it was under a different artist
really?
name or something. Yeah, it was like it was something, but it was like all secret. It was like a weird thing. But like I remember going into one of my local shops because I was trying to find it for my sister, and it was like really funny because I was like, "Do you have like the new one from Lord Huron that's not under the Lord Huron name?" And they were like, "No, please stop calling us." Because like
as you're wearing your ankle bracelet,
right? Like I feel like they're one of those bands that like lesser known, but the people who love them.
Love them. There's a girl that I know, much younger than I am. I knew her like through you. I led her through some like youth group stuff. She and her family they have some. Her father and her mother are from England, but they are mega Lord Huron fans. They actually her and her mom flew to Massey Hall from Virginia to see them, and I haven't seen them. They're on my bucket list for this year. Hopefully, if they tour, but they should be working on a new album soon.
Is it a band or is it just him?
It's a band.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody else but I mean, like 3 out of the 5 guys have been on every album. Okay. No, 4 or 5. 4 of like the original 5 are still together. Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny you were talking like, why do I know the names of the? I mean, Tears for Fears is a huge band and they're incredible. I don't have it yet, but I streamed it a number of times. I really like the Turning Point, that record they put out. Was it last year or the year before?
A couple of years ago.
Let's see. I thought Zach might ask this question. Let's test Sam here. Sam, have you listened to Bob Schneider at all?
No.
He would probably like him. Zach, it's someone.
I don't know Bobby.
It's actually it's the academic Rob Schneider, if you remember Rob
Or if
Schneider.
you're confused with Dan Schneider.
Oh, I was thinking of who's the actor from Jaws? Isn't that also the sheriff in Jaws? Isn't that also a Schneider?
I think so.
Oh, Marcia. Tell us about it. Let me tell you, Marcia, you and I might never be best friends, but you and my brother might be best friends. It is a Schneider or a Sheeter. You're right. It's not a Schneider. I did mess that up. I think that's the Jaws thing. Marcia, so you have a Bob Schneider record because, yeah, I mean, actually, now I'm curious which one do you have. I'm trying to create friendships and connection amongst the people. It's like everything we talk about, Sam. It all goes back to a Seinfeld reference. So it's like what's the episode with like the opposite world or
Bizarro Jerry.
The Bizarro Jerry. Yeah, you can't mix these worlds, man.
I'm sorry, we already have a George. We're going to. I gotta go to the library. Why?
What?
To read. Kevin and it's Kevin, Gary, and Feldman. Who is it? It's Feldman.
Feldman
across the hall.
So good. Unofficial sponsorship for those who consume alcohol out there. You should try the Hoop Tea. Hard iced tea, much better than twisted tea. There's that. That's funny. I think. Sorry, Marcia, not to poke fun at any typo, but I think it was funny that you were thinking. Yes, Roy Schreider is from Jaws. It would be funny if he was from Jazz, though.
He was married. He was married to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Roy Schneider was?
That was a stretch for Maria Shriver.
That was a stretch, but I appreciate it. Like, I respect it. Well, Zach would know. Zach, Marcia has the album with the song "The Year Is 2002." I have more to do. Hey, Joe is in the house. Hey, Joe, I know you were talking about this before. If you have interest in joining us up here, man, it would be great to have you. I'm more than happy to send you a link. I know you talked about maybe wanting to jump on a stream. It'd be cool to chat with you, man. Yeah, Marcia, was it Lonely Land?
These are not the strings for me, I don't think.
What kind of you a Diodario guy over there? What do you elixir?
No, well, these were given to me by the guy that sold me the guitar, and
he would arguably know.
Well, it's all based on your preference for, girth and such.
And you know mine.
And I use the light gauge for girth.
That's true. I don't need that KY. All right now.
Oh gosh. All right. You stay there. Oh gosh. Get the view of my legs. Your bottle of community.
It goes great with your Christmas sweater of yesteryear.
Yeah, I told another friend that this is probably going to be the last hoorah of this sweater for the season. But it have one more good wear in it before laundry day, That's an aside.
Need that laundry day.
Yeah, we do laundry once a year down here. I'm like, George, I like that. I want to have a pair, for every day of the year.
That's so stupid.
But, we've all thought of that.
Yeah. Well, this is a great point. There's a lot of people out there watching, thousands upon thousands watching. But I send out the link. But the good thing is there is they have to sit in the backstage area, and then I have to let them in. So there's a waiting room. There was a troll that jumped on Glenn's channel a while ago. Do you remember that, Sam?
I do indeed. It was scary.
Hey, what's up, Darcy? Yeah, hey, I posted the Prog tag today. Hope you jump on it, man. I think that's up your alley. And I wanted to shout you out too, because obviously there's a lot of people in the community that talk about a lot of different types of music, but I think like it's so interesting, I think, for your channel, because one day it's like here's an album review from Yes or whatever, and then the next day it's like here's an album review from Sum 41. I just like love that is the diversity of your channel. Cool. We'll see you soon, Joe. Cool. See you, Joe. Yeah, I was actually hoping to do the Kiss tag, but it's like, again, like some of the questions are like very like I'm the only, besides like the later stuff, right? So I don't have like Revenge or Sonic Boom or I don't have anything like Hot in the Shade, none of that kind of stuff. I think the only Kiss record I'm missing though of like anything from 74 to 87 is, I might have all of them actually. I don't know if there's one I'm missing anymore. I actually might have all of them. But it's interesting because I was like, okay, I got all the Kiss records. Like, I should be able to do this, right? I should be able to do this. And then I was like, oh, there's no damn way I can do this. But I'm also not a bootleg guy. I know a lot of people are, but I am not.
I'm the same way with pizza.
What?
He said a wide. It's
okay.
I'm not even trying with the jokes. But to answer your question, the strings that I prefer right now, the only downside is that they die very quickly. They're Martin Retros.
Okay.
And the reason they're retro is that the point that like they're designed, these are nickel plated, and they're supposed to bring out like the actual tone, like the grain of the wood in the actual guitar. So that's really good for acoustic guitar tones. But then the nickel, something about the nickel I like a lot. Like I said, they die fairly quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that video was so cool. I mean, one of these days later we'll talk about what you paid for that, but
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
Oh, dang it. Dad found out we were partying without him.
God, you bastards.
You fuck. We were just talking about you, Rob.
We knew you were a family man, so he had to join the family here on YouTube.
Yeah, my family's in bed. My son's been asleep for 3 hours, and my wife is in bed with a migraine. So,
oh gosh,
yeah.
And here you are.
We're just causing a migraine on YouTube.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sam's over there restringing his guitar. I'm over here making bad jokes. You know what time it is, though, Rob?
Time for ass tea.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Boy, if you saw actually, here's I'll pour a little bit in this. I mean, that's the color of it, right? So, like,
well, that looks like ass tea. Did I explain why I called that ass tea the other day?
No.
Okay, so you know what Newfoundland is, right?
And Labrador.
Well, they're the same, but they're not the same. Correct. The island of Newfoundland, the people that are from Newfoundland are Newfies, and they're wonderful and they have a reputation for being stupid, but they're not. They're the most wonderful people.
It's a lot like, it sounds like a lot like Virginia.
Kind of. Yeah. But they're a little different. But anyway, they have
North Carolina, according to Rob.
They literally have a sort of local dialect of English that there's a lot of shit that you don't understand what they're saying. And one of my best friends years ago was from Newfoundland and moved here during university. And he's from Gander, which is the second largest city in Newfoundland. And where he lived, hoop referred to somebody's ass. So if a girl had a nice butt, you'd say, she's got a nice hoop.
Nice.
So hence it's ass tea. You could also call it a turd cutter.
Oh, what?
A turd cutter.
Hardly knew her.
Well, you know. So I always call it a hoop. So.
Dear Lord.
Well, well, it's also just not the classiest thing. What's funny is I never liked spiked tea before. You know, twisted tea's been the big one, but you know, I don't know if this probably won't mean anything for Rob, but Sam, one of the things I always thought was funny. So in the craft beer world, you know, because I'm a beer and vinyl channel, don't know if you knew that. But in the craft beer world, there was a lot of conversation years ago because Dogfish Head and Sam Adams merged. And people were like, can we still call them craft? This is like a big conglomerate, all this stuff. And the thing is with Sam Adams, so Sam Adams is a very, very small percentage of the greater portfolio that is the Boston Beer Company.
He also signed the Declaration of Independence.
It's the same guy.
Yeah.
But the Boston Beer Company is made up of 4 major portfolios. Sam Adams, which is a very small portion of it, I think it's like 10 or 12% of it. Truly's, which is the hard seltzer, is Boston Beer Company / Sam Adams. I believe Twisted Tea, which is huge too. And then also, I think Angry Orchard. And so they have the cider, they have the hard iced tea, and they have the hard seltzer all covered. And that makes up 90-ish% of their portfolio. And then actual Sam Adams beer makes up like 10% of it. And a lot of the craft beer nerds have always been talking. They're like, how do we call this craft beer if 90% of the actual sales and portfolio isn't even beer?
I've been to his grave.
To Sam Adams, yeah? Did you pee on it?
No. It may surprise you to learn I actually have an honors degree in American history.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because our history is boring as fuck.
Dude, I completely feel the opposite. I think I was telling you at some point, I took 4 different Canadian politics or Canadian history courses when I was in college.
Politics different than history. Our politics is very interesting. Our history is boring as hell.
You would my dad's a big history guy, and we kind of talked about it on Rob and I's podcast. But being in Virginia, you know, obviously we have, you know, Colonial Williamsburg is a big draw. We have Jamestown and Williamsburg, you know, I mean the first, you know, settlement in the U.S. But also for the Civil War buffs, I mean, we have like 75% of the Civil War in the United States was fought in Virginia.
Yep.
So like growing up, like it was nothing to go to like Appomattox Courthouse. You know, it was just like an hour from where I grew up, and like you know, where the surrender took place. And I mean, where I went to school in the Shenandoah Valley, and like a big part of that was like the Shenandoah Valley.
Stonewall Jackson.
Stonewall
Jackson. I wrote a 4th year paper about him.
And I mean, again, we're not talking any kind of, you know, we're not talking politics or anything here. We're not talking this or that. But in a historical standpoint, I live about, like where my apartment is now, I'm only about 45 minutes from Lee's grave in Lexington, which, when Alex came to visit, he was up in that area doing business. So
see Anthony. Thanks for hanging out, man.
But if you like the Civil War, come down to Virginia. Like, well,
I'd love to.
But yeah. I mean, you would be in heaven, Rob, seeing the battlefields and stuff.
I would. I've been to one Civil War fort in North Carolina. Out on the coast, there's the remnants of a fort, but I've never been to a Civil War battlefield. I really enjoyed the Civil War, but my area of study was the Revolution. So I wrote my honors thesis was
you've got to come to Virginia.
My thesis was on pre-revolutionary politics in 1760s Boston.
Oh my word!
Wow.
I read it now and I'm like, someone else wrote this because I'm not that smart, but I was 22 years ago when I graduated. Holy shit, 22 years ago. God damn. Fuck.
But that's what's so cool. Like I'll be in Williamsburg this summer for our big family vacation. Like we always stay, you know, 10-minute drive to Colonial Williamsburg. So like we can do the whole, strip there. We do, Jamestown is there. Like they have the historic Jamestown and then the actual settlement. The settlement's
Right.
like what they set it up, a few miles away so that they're not treading on, the holy ground. But I mean, they have like all like the replicas of the 3 ships. They have the fort. They've got the Native American settlement. But I mean, it really is. I mean, we take it for granted living here because I mean, it is kind of like a mecca for the history buffs. I mean, that's where like the U.S. was founded, like in Virginia on the coast, and I take it for granted a lot of the time.
I'm fortunate where I am because I'm an hour and a half from Buffalo, and where I live is right where the War of 1812 was fought. So there's a whole chain of forts along the border that are 200 years old, and it's fun stuff.
Joe, what's up, man?
There he is.
Can you hear
Hey,
us okay?
gentlemen.
Are you moving?
Hey Joe, how you doing?
Am I frozen? No, I'm just kidding. I am frozen. It's freaking cold here tonight.
Well, and where are you? Are you in BC too, Joe?
No, I'm just trying to figure out. I got something weird going on. I got delay. I'm in Saskatchewan, actually.
Okay.
Whereabouts in Saskatchewan? Obviously,
Regina.
southern Saskatchewan. Regina? You got some delay there.
We got a little bit of delay. It's a Saskatchewan internet.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I can see your lips moving. It's kind of Godzilla-like, and I'm all about Godzilla. But
We're dubbed, yeah.
My grandfather was born in Saskatchewan.
I know I've heard one Saskatchewan joke. When I worked when I was about 23 or 4, I worked at a mountain lodge, and we had a lot of internationals because it was on the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is a big draw for it's a national park. Leads up to the Shenandoah National Park, and there was a Canadian woman who came in, and she was talking about being from Saskatchewan. And this might be a standard joke for you all up there. I have no idea because I've never been because I'm uncultured.
About your dog running away?
Yeah.
Yep. Shall we tell it for Alex's benefit?
Do you know that joke, Alex? Where it's like if your dog in
Saskatchewan is so flat that you can watch your dog run away for a week.
Yeah.
It's a good joke.
It's a good joke.
You get it?
But my question for Saskatchewan is Saskatoon in Saskatchewan?
yes,
It's a city in
Saskatchewan. Yes.
Yep.
I was
I'll-
there for most of my formative years.
Oh, okay. In Saskatoon?
Yeah, I got way too much delay. I got to figure something out. I'm gonna hang up, figure out why I've got delay because I'm 20 seconds behind.
You got it, man. We'll be here, all right?
Yeah.
We have nothing to do.
Cheers, brother.
Sometimes that will do it. Like you log out and you're just you clean right up when you come back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first heard that joke, I thought I was like, that's pretty funny.
I mentioned my grandfather was born in southern Saskatchewan. There in the teens and 20s, the government would give you land out in the prairies if you built a farm. It was free land.
Yeah.
So essentially like pioneers, basically. So my great grandparents went west and they built the first house was made out of sod and they lived there for like 20 years. My grandfather was born out there in this tiny little town that doesn't even have anything. And he said, he used to tell me, he goes, I didn't see a tree until I was 10 years old because the nearest tree was 100 miles away. There's no trees. It is literally on a map. It is a rectangle.
It's a tundra.
And it is literally just fields. The entire, it's flat. You can put a level on it and it's flat. There he is.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Any better, Joe?
It is because I had the original stream open and then I had backstage. So
That'll do it.
I'll do it.
I told you it's my brain's frozen. It's friggin' cold here tonight. It's shitty,
Oh no.
but that's okay. I'm inside.
how do we? I'm trying to figure out the StreamYard. Now I know what you're going through with what you were doing earlier, Rob, when you're trying to like highlight somebody, right? So you go to like the
there's icons along the bottom, and you see different layouts.
Yeah, you go like the one.
So now what you do is the person there's another one over there which will have a big picture and two little ones beside it.
Like this one?
Yeah, like that one. Now, if you wanted to make one of us big, you just drag me or Sam or Joe to the middle on top of you, and we'll switch. There you go.
All right. Well, Joe, it's all you now, brother.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's fine. No, Joe, you put out the. Did you do the KISS tag? Was that you?
Well, I did the KISS tag. So here's the thing. There was all these tags. I'm just loving it because it's gotten the opportunity to meet a bunch of new people, new subscribers, people watching. I have a video of over 1,000 and it's not my cat drinking water. So, it's a good thing.
Wow. What video is that?
My room tour, actually. Just
of course, it's always the room tours.
Oh, yeah,
man.
it's always. I think so. Yeah, definitely. Everybody else wants to see everybody else's stuff, is what it seems like.
I have yet to do one. I've been on YouTube for 3 years. I don't have a room. I'm kind of like Alex.
Yeah, I was gonna say us 1-bedroom apartment clowns over here. We can't really do one, Sam.
Us single boys.
Us single boys.
There's us old retired guys that their wife has given us the whole basement to play in. So
I'm not retired, but I got the basement too.
Yeah. You had asked me a question and then I got sidetracked, which happens a lot.
The KISS tag, yeah.
Oh yeah, the KISS tag, right? Yeah. So there was obviously the main tag. So I got involved in that. Then there was the Beatles one, and there's a jazz one, which I think if you saw one of my other ones, I said, as long as the answer is Miles Davis to everything, I might be able to do it. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I enjoy it. I just don't have a lot.
Yeah.
And then I got it all together. I made the questions up. I got the camera all set up and all that. And then went, you know what? I bet there's probably one of these already out there. And there is, but not really. It's 2023, and there's show me your KISS 10 records, et cetera, et cetera. So I said, screw it. Here's my questions. Here's the video. Watch it and join in. So
I loved it. And the KISS fans will be able to, like they eat that stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Jason, welcome, brother.
Hey, guys. How did it go? How did it finish with the Prog stuff?
So great.
It lasted 15 minutes, and we never got to a point.
Oh, that's a good one, Sam. You probably Sam, I don't know. No matter what we do, even if I'm running a stream, I start my own stream on my own channel, and we're still outdone 60% by these damn Canadians all the time. We can't get around it. It's just
there's only 33 or 35 million of us, but we're everywhere.
I was gonna say,
okay, wait. So enlighten me here. Hi, guy. My name's Jason, and who's the other guy here?
Joe, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, Joe. Where are you at, Joe?
Meet you. I'm newish. I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan, which the best way to describe it is if you know where Fargo if you know where North Dakota is, you go north a couple hours.
Jason's 16 hours north of Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Well, you know where Regina is, then you're all right.
Oh, yeah, of course. I drove through there. It was actually my only reference to Regina is when we moved across the country, I drove through and we experienced a wicked prairie storm. We saw it coming in from a distance. I have nothing but love and admiration for that part of the country. I love the big sky country. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. There are lots of redeeming qualities. If all you do is drive across the Trans-Canada, you're not going to see much of Saskatchewan. There are a lot of beautiful parts, but yeah, definitely. But the land of living skies on the license plate, right? So
yeah, you bet. Yeah, awesome.
Now, Joe, I remember you talking about this on one of your channels, and I was fascinated by it. You have a background in disc jockeying, DJ radio station work. I'm just fascinated by that. I think it's the coolest thing.
Yeah, it was a really, really long time ago. But right out of high school, went to broadcasting school, which really was, hey, give me your $2,000 and I'll teach you how to talk on the radio a little bit. That was kind of the gist of it, but it worked.
Yeah, but now look at you. Look what it got you.
And now look how far I've come.
Now you're
talking to Alex.
People. Exactly. And started off in just a small market in Saskatchewan, actually. And I've always stayed in Saskatchewan. I've always been a Saskatchewan kid, but started out there, was making $600 a month. And this was the mid 80s, like 85, 86. So, I mean, it still wasn't much then. And as I said in the video, I drank $700 worth of beer every month. So, slept where I could and drank beer. So I was covered. And then there was a job opening at the local nightclub, and it was paying much better. Plus, there was drinks and there was girls around, so it was the allure of the radio station went away fairly quickly. And then beyond
You might have
that,
met Rob there.
yeah, so it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
Rob's whole note on stories. I'm sure there's a lot of good Rob stories.
I will say that's one of my favorite parts about checking out so many channels is hearing the sort of like the diversity of the background, right? Like some people are just fans, right? Like I'm just a fan. Like I just like music. I like collecting records. It's great.
Well, I thought you said we're going to say you're a fan of ours.
Also true. I mean, these are not mutually exclusive, right?
No,
I mean,
Alex is an only fan.
I only have one.
Yeah, I tried OnlyFans for a while. I got 0 subscribers, so I'm doing much better on YouTube.
But but it's interesting because you hear people like Joe that have some kind of like radio broadcasting background, right? Like, is it Rod the Happy Hippie? He's got a total like radio background as well. It's like I love. Obviously, Mazzy talks a ton about like his background and working for the different labels and that kind of stuff. I love hearing about that kind of stuff. I think it's so cool because I feel like also a lot of those careers aren't a thing anymore in so many different ways. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and this is like still fresh news, but it's like an important thing is like the city's in a really like we have a local station that is one of the only still fully independent operated radio stations in the country. And I love the radio station. I know the DJs. I've won tickets. It's like it is one of those things that is so built into the identity of the city, and it's been around for 33 years. And they announced that like January 31st is their last day, and it's just like it's like heartbreaking, right? Like you feel like you're like losing like a friend.
I could feel that in your post that you did about it. I'm like, Jesus, that means a lot to people, right?
The thing was. The thing was that back in the day, and it's still the case, is they could pay you pretty lousy because there were so many people that wanted to do it, and that's still the case. Is it's a great job that people want to do, so they knew that they could pay very little. The problem now is that these conglomerates, they own 3 or 4 stations, and they get 2 or 3 guys and or women to do the shows, and they do about 8 different shows. They only have 3 on-air personalities, or there's very few anyway. Like there's one in town, the same guy is on, he's on here, then he's on in Saskatoon, then he's on in their PA station, and then he's on at night again. It's just it's really watered down the actual on-air personalities. And that's not everywhere. That just happens to be here a little bit, and it's unfortunate because the personalities are a big part of it. The music's the music, but the personalities is a big part of why, especially why we listen to terrestrial radio. We can listen to Sirius all we want and just listen to music.
And that's been you listen to like radio now. Like a lot of people are like, I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to the radio. Well, a lot of that's because radio has become, essentially it's like no disrespect to this individual. Like he's fine, but like I have no interest in listening to like Ryan Seacrest run a playlist. Like this is not what I want, but it's like this local station, like invested in the community. Like they highlight a local artist every hour on the hour. Like, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things that became so ingrained into the community. And it's sad because it's like the reason people go away, especially in radio, is it's always due to money, right? Like it's a money thing. Because unfortunately, like the ads that are going to pay for someone to go on Ryan Seacrest channel is going to be significantly more than what they're going to pay the local, mom and pop radio station that is doing all these great things. So it's sad, but
here's a good question for the group here. So if you were going to be tomorrow the radio station of your choice tells you choose one time block. It's a 1 hour time block. What time block are you going to do? And what is the first song or band you're going to play?
Wow.
So are you going to take the rush hour traffic? Or are you going to take the?
That's a live stream idea, boys. Like for like a topic.
Yes.
I'm so smart. I'm so awesome.
Like go with it anyway though. Dude, that could be a series. Like you could do it based on like, you know, you have your 1 hour block on like jazz, you have your 1 hour block on, you know, prog, whatever. Like
Americana.
what's your set list?
The drive time built this city.
Right on, Zach.
No.
Good choice.
Sorry, gotta go. If just the sheer mention of built this city, and I'm out of here. Sorry.
We used to. So Zach remembers this. Zach, my brother. So Zach is my brother. We used to live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we were in kind of retail. So we knew some of the radio DJs on the local station that we would advertise with the company, and they would do a voiceover. If you remember the bridge, we'll call it the bridge. I don't know if the song technically has a bridge, but it's during the part where where the radio guy comes on. I think he's talking about San Francisco radio, maybe. But the DJ would go in and would voice over that section of the song and put in the local, like he'll be like, "You're listening to 101.7, blah 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 blah."
Brutal.
Whenever they would play that song.
I would like probably you said 1 hour, so I'll take midnight to 1. And what I'd like to do is I have you guys have watched a few of the videos. I have fairly mainstream tastes. I have some obscure stuff, but fairly mainstream taste. But what I'd like to do, and part of the vinyl thing, or one of my answers to the why do you like it so much, is the deep cuts on the album. So I would take the albums we all know and love, take away all the stuff that we hear all the time, but try and find another song on that album that everybody would go, "Oh yeah, I remember that song."
Idea.
Right? Yeah,
it's the deep cut hour with Joe. Sweet.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm good with that.
It's too bad it's so late in the night though. It's, you know, and let's just pretend that marketing and logistic like marketing.
If money doesn't matter,
if money doesn't matter, then an idea like that would be the drive time when everyone's listening. It'd be like, here's the deep cuts, you know, and like
Alex would take 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. and it would be Last Call, sponsored by Ask Tea.
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely brilliant.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, I've always had a special affinity. I know it's not an hour, but like I've always had that connect, like morning radio, whatever that is, like the morning commute, right? Like whoever that DJ was that you always listened to driving to work or whatever it was, there was always that sense of like, oh, I know this person, right? But I'm going to agree with Joe on this, like something about that late night radio, right? That 12 to 1 slot, the after dark. I totally against the point of this conversation because we're talking about local radio and stuff like that. But I used to love listening to Little Steven's Underground Garage. Yeah. When he was doing
Alex
that
is
stuff,
good
too. Yeah, for sure. Alex was doing really cool stuff. Yeah, but it was like something. It was that late night. Just had that kind of like, it had that grease to it, right?
Here's one. I'll see if you guys remember or not. I should say hi, B. She's been talking, and I've been trying to read it. I liked the unboxing video the other day. That was pretty good. But do you guys remember Art Bell Overnight? I used to go back to Saskatoon when I moved to Regina. I used to do some announcing for the stock car track there. So I would drive back at 12 or 1 in the morning. Art Bell, like where he would talk to the alien guys, the flat earth guys. He was kind of like the original guy that was out there. I just used to love that. I still love it if I can hear it. It's not Art Bell anymore, but that was always great because it kept you awake at 1 or 2 in the morning driving back, you know, not that long, a couple hours or whatever, but it was always good stuff.
Do you guys remember the movie about, I don't know, 10, 15, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, I can't remember now, but like there was that movie called, I think it was called Pirate Radio.
Pirate Radio.
Yeah, I thought that was the coolest thing ever, and I friggin' love it. I'm waiting for it to come back on streaming. Dave,
Dave's in the house. Dave. What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave?
There's some good radio ones. There's not lots of good vinyl ones. There's another one, the one that Christian Slater did that the name escapes me right now, but he was a DJ and that was pretty good too. I can't remember what the hell it was called now, but good story, Joe. But it was also a good DJ. But yeah, I really enjoyed Pirate Radio, just the whole story and the fact it was a true story too. I mean, it would have been great if it was made up, but it was true. So.
Late night aliens, I love it.
Yeah,
Joe, I want to listen in on the stuff Joe's talking about. That's pretty funny, like the flat earthers or whatever else. Like, there is something about that late night crowd that must be pretty entrancing, right? Like,
Yeah.
you get drawn right
Oh,
into that.
Listen, man, Strange Brew
What
was
the earth
was
is
tuning in all the time.
It's not. It is not flat. Anyway, there was another time too. I was driving around Chicago when I was going to Indianapolis '94, and Mancow had, I don't know if you guys remember Mancow or not, around the Chicago area, but he had this guy on that, and this was full blown morning radio, and it was kind of Howard Sternish, but it was Mancow, and just this guy was all about the aliens.
Man,
This wasn't Art Bell, and where Art, I think, agreed with a lot of those guys. Mancow just played this dude, and he just kept going on and deeper and deeper. It was beautiful radio. It was fantastic radio, actually.
Mancow. I don't remember Mancow, but I
He was
feel like I
pretty good.
should. But it's also, you know, the funny thing too is like you, like anything else, you would have like this. You'd have like your local people, and then you would have like your nationally syndicated, like huge people. But when I was growing up here in the Midwest, you know, you'd have like these regional people that were like really big in the Midwest, but really nowhere else. And I don't know, for Zach and I, again, when I say Zach, I mean my brother growing up, because I know he's in the chat, but for us, we spent like our childhood listening to like Bob and Tom, which was like this regional, like, you know, trash but great like comedy duo every morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And yeah, it wasn't fully local, but it was regionally at least, and wasn't completely syndicated everywhere. But
Comes back to what we were talking about in the previous live stream. Kim Mitchell used to be on Q107 in Toronto.
I was just going to ask. You probably got a chance to listen to Kim, and I've never heard him do a show. I mean, I've heard him doing a show, but not his radio show. Was he pretty good? Was it conversational, or was it just kind of him being a DJ?
No, he was good. He was conversational.
Yeah, that's good. That's all right.
yeah.
I've grown to appreciate Howard more. I think Howard Stern more than
You
I
know,
used
it's
to.
funny you should say that, because you watch him years ago and he's an idiot. You know, his stuff was stupid shit.
He was just, yeah. I mean, he was playing his part
Right.
way more. Now he's got some good.
But when he has music guests on,
Yeah.
he's incredible. And he built that studio to have bands come in.
Yeah.
And the sound in that studio is incredible.
Yeah, no, like when Miley and Metallica were there, right? That whole interview was fantastic, and he's very good at doing that stuff.
Yeah.
But
He can take off
got
his
all the bullshit out of the way, and now he's doing real stuff. I think.
I was just going to say, he can take off his bullshit hat. And when he takes that off, he is a true music fan.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Marcia, are you just asking for Tektronix or no, that was Mars, right? No, that was, Mars was Pump Up the Volume, wasn't it?
No, Pump Up the Volume. That was the Christian Slater radio movie.
Oh, yeah, there you go. It was also the song Mars, though, right? Pump up the volume, pump up the volume. Yeah, but you're right. That was the Christian Slater movie. I'm stone cold sober, so there you go.
I am not. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I just quit forever ago, like forever, 33 years ago. So
nice.
I'm naturally like this. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
that would, for those that are interested, because it took me a long time to string that guitar. That thing was different to string.
I was watching you do it, Sam, and I thought, man, I'd like to play that.
The pegs on it were different, because like I've got this, like this kit to do the strings and everything, and my the thing that that you can twist, like if you needed to put this on the tuning pegs and twist it, I never use that, but it's got a little notch in it which you use to undo the pegs. It's like a fulcrum, and these particular pegs are a little bit wider than this, and I didn't want to damage them. Plus, most of them are made of wood, and so I didn't want to nick them up either. So I was trying to do a lot of that manually, and the strings that the guy gave me to redo it were not. They were too much for me. So I put those aside, got some of the strings that I already had, and playing it they were popping out a little bit too much. So you almost had to put your hand on it while you were twisting it. So there's a trick to it. I'll figure it out.
You can tell I'm a guitar player, Sam. You mentioned it, and I got one within arm's reach.
Yeah. That's the thing. They always if you play guitar, you're supposed to be able to pull a guitar pick out of your wallet. Every guitar player should have a guitar pick in their wallet.
I drilled a hole through a guitar pick when I
How
first
many do you
started,
want?
and I put it on my keychain. thinking I was a guitar player with my G, C, and D chords. But anyway, whatever.
Hey, I just
Sam,
bought some
Sam,
cool
what was the first song, Sam, that you remember saying? Not that you learned, but the first song that you said, "Okay, I can play this well."
I don't say that.
Oh, come on! There's gotta be one that you were like, "I'm proud of learning this song."
Probably Wildflowers, just because it sounded as close to the recording as any song that I could play.
Can you play just a few little bars of that?
Dude, he's gonna shut it down. It's gonna be so close to the original. They're gonna shut the stream
See,
down.
I don't have my capo on me, so it's like it's not the same tune, but it's
One more of mine.
So it's like that. Yeah. So my capo's over there. I don't feel like moving, but
Everything's in our
when, not if, but when I visit you guys, it's pretty much going to be me telling Sam, play this song. Now play this song. Play this song.
Yeah.
Jason's gonna be the annoying girl at the bonfire.
He's the annoying girl at the bonfire that I can never get.
Correct. Like Jason don't put out the way Sam would like.
Right, yeah. We're the like she's the girl at camp that you stay up till like 2 a.m, revealing your heart to, and it's just Jason.
Yeah. Dave, what are you saying there, Dave?
I am a hoser.
So actually, question about that. I mean, hoser is not like it's not like a derogatory term, is it?
No.
I have no idea what
I
it
don't
means.
think it has one. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think you could use it as a derogatory term if you want to, but no, I wear it as a badge of honor. I wear this shirt all the damn time.
I told the story recently. I was in a record store here a couple weeks ago buying a Christmas gift for my sister. She was looking for the new Hosier record.
Yeah.
Irish singer-songwriter. I think a lot of people are loving that guy right now. And I asked him, I was like, do you have the new I think it's pronounced Hosier.
Hosier,
yeah. Everybody kind of does it differently. And it was like, do you have the new Hosier? And they're like, oh, is that how you say it? Is that how you say it? And this guy next to me, he was like, oh, is that how you say it? And I said, unless you're from Indiana, then it's Hoosier, because like Indiana Hoosier.
Yeah, right. The Hoosiers.
There's like a whole story there too. And he turns to me and goes, or if you're from Canada, then you're a hoser. And I was like, this is the worst but best record store conversation I've ever had in my life. Like this is fantastic. But
it's a stereotype. We don't really use the word.
No.
Well, and
it's just Bob and Doug McKenzie.
One of the things that's funny to me too about you all up there is like some of the phrases that are just like normal, they feel derogatory. Like I feel like I'm saying something terrible, like calling you all like a Canuck. Like, isn't that like that feels like I'm like
I think you have to appreciate that there ain't much that offends us.
No, that's the thing. You can piss us off.
We're too polite about it. It's like, I'm sure they can call us an asshole. I'm sure they mean well.
You know what you do? You call us an asshole, and you know what we would say? I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry.
How can I correct this?
Yeah. Let's just be friends.
Oh man,
it's funny. It goes back like that ridiculousness of like that kind of thing is. There's a very early episode of The Office, which I know a lot of that's still not okay to talk about, but the episode that Diversity Day where Michael asks Oscar, he's like, "Is there a word besides Mexican that I can use?" He says, "Mexican's not offensive, Michael." It's like, yeah, I'm American. You're Canadian. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But do you three have things that you like? Is there an American like slang term or things that you would call us other than
we're Yanks, Alex? We're Yanks.
No, Yank to me isn't. There's nothing derogatory except if and I'm not trying to engage in politics here, but like Canadians don't like Trump, right? So by and large, right? Unless you're an Albertan or close to conservative, but like there's a lot of probably disappointment in that aspect of things, but by and large it is funny that the two major countries in North America are like so close, and here's a story about that. Like I don't follow sports a lot, right? But when I do care about sports, it's Olympics when like Canada is a team, and a buddy of mine at the time challenged me on that once, and he says, what's your deal? Like, why do you care? And I said, oh, I just don't want the Americans to win. And he's like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we're Canadians. And I'm like, no, I want to be better than the Americans at sports. He's like, we're so closely connected culturally and in so many bloody
And that's
ways.
the reason, though.
It's so funny that we're like, why would you not pull for them? They're pretty much
Right.
the same bloody people.
Because we get painted with the same brush as Americans do, and we're absolutely not. And we're so tied to you guys. So the
the
fact
same
that
bloody
we can be
friggin'
better
people,
at one
like,
thing, and that one
We're all
thing is
just
hockey.
melting pot of friggin' immigrants from
The
Europe.
only thing,
like-
the only thing we're better at than America is hockey. So if we can kick your ass at something, it better be hockey.
But that gradually is changing, and it sucks. But it feels like they're catching up.
Here, but
Yeah, Summer Olympics are coming.
Yeah.
Well, and that was, I was talking before about when I was in college and found myself, I came across it by mistake. I had one of those like college courses that the instructor professor sort of like switched out at the last second. So they had like this oh shit moment. And that's how I fell into this of, you all might appreciate this. So it was supposed to be an American politics course because my major was political science. And at the last second, the professor was switched out and they brought in the professor who oversaw like the Canadian Studies department. Yeah, we had a Canadian Studies department.
How boring is that?
And so he decided, okay, like we're going to stick with like, the overall philosophy of the class, but we're actually going to talk about the difference between the American political system and the Canadian political system. And one of the coolest, I still look at this and I was like, oh, that was a good professor. Like the way he did this
fun course actually.
Was he did a similar like fantasy football is huge, right? Like everybody does fantasy football. I don't know if Canadians
second in my league third.
I don't know if Canadians do like fantasy football or fantasy whatever the game is with the shuffleboard and the ice or whatever.
Shuffleboard and the ice. I like it. That's all I'm ever going to call it. No, I'm only calling it the shuffleboard on ice. That's it. It's named
that curling. I got it. Sorry, but what he did was we did a fantasy draft of Canadian members of parliament, and depending on what they did, you got a certain amount of points assigned to their performance.
Oh my God.
At the time, it was like, oh, if you got the first pick in the draft, like you were drafting Stephen Harper, like it's like prime minister, like he's going to introduce the legislation, but then other people were drafting obviously like the like I forget the phrase, but like whoever oversaw like the departments or committee, like I can't think of it. Sorry, like the ministers, like the minister of defense or all that kind of stuff. So it was just what was cool about it from like the educational perspective is I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's like making us pay attention to this shit because like we were like reading articles of like, oh, another law, another bill was passed and introduced by so and so. That is 3 points, like all that kind of stuff.
Wow. Pretty cool idea. Sorry, I got to backtrack here. Sam, did you say you're doing a fantasy football thing?
I did. I mean, I'm actually the commissioner the last couple of years with my boys that
I
deal with. I've only won once, and this year I came in third. Last year was second, and I don't even watch football that much, but I'm a very good guesser.
I can't believe
this guy. Do you know who that is, Alex? And I
can't believe he typed out that name.
Pronounce that name, Alex.
Well, here's the thing. I thought, of course, as somebody down here, when I see that, I thought he was making a joke on George Stephanopoulos.
No.
Do you know George name?
Do you know who George Stroumboulopoulos is?
House of Strombo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what he originally, we had Much Music up here, which is like MTV. It's not around anymore, but he was one of the original VJs on Much Music, and went on to work for the CBC, and he is kind of like the resident Canadian expert on music. Him and Alan Cross are probably the two, but he now hosts a syndicated radio show on, I don't know whether it's Sirius or Apple or whatever, but it's syndicated around the world. But he's kind of like our resident Canadian music guy, and for Prime Minister, he actually just last week got the Order of Canada.
Yep, he
did.
did.
Really? Oh, I missed that. Wow.
Yeah, I saw that. I like George. I think he's always been pretty good. I've always enjoyed his interviewing and, back to the VJ days. And in answer to B's question, I have not yet. That's the one about the bass players, correct? And I'll wait for her to come up there. But she was asking about his TV show.
That's right.
It's about people. It's like there are other hobbies like outside of music.
Yeah, but it's all bass players, no? Or am I getting
that? I think you're right.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
There
Yeah, I
needs
think
to
he
be
just
more
spent the whole
love for
time
those
just
bass
talking to other
players.
bassists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, are you? I know you said earlier that you're pretty mainstream in terms of your musical taste. Am I interpreting that as that you're not going to jump on my Prog tag?
No, I probably won't. I mean, I could look at the questions. Yeah, I'm one of those. As you've been, once I get started on something, I'll just keep doing it. So if I can answer the questions, I might be able to. I looked at the jazz one. I definitely can't answer that. But there was another one today. Oh,
so
the
Joe,
Americana. I got to do Sam's Americana because I think I can pull that off. I got lots of Tom Petty. I got lots of Springsteen. I got lots of all that. I can easily do, well, not easily do that one, but I can definitely do that one.
Heck yeah.
I just bought an entire Emmylou Harris, the whole thing. I think I got them all in one shot from a lady.
Okay, Joe, just without hesitation, without thinking too much about it, and we won't hold you to it, give us like 5 bands that you absolutely love and have loved forever.
So the top 5 off the top of my head as I sit and look, and you can't see, but is Kiss for sure, AC/DC for sure. Actually, Steve Earle is probably right up there as well. Springsteen, and then the rest kind of float a little bit. I'm a big Green Day, Offspring, that kind of punk, Social Distortion, that kind of stuff. But there's 4 and a couple of 5 A, B's, and C's off the top of my head.
That's awesome.
A little bit all over the place. Well, it's funny. I don't know if you were here at the time, Joe, or you may have been in the chat. I mean, it sounds similar to Darcy in the chat. It's like, one day he'll post a review of a Yes, record, and the next day it's like Sum 41 or something like that. And so yeah. I mean, I love that. But it's funny you mentioned like the Prog thing and the Americana thing. I mean, Sam has more stringent rules than I do. I mean, he takes the Americana thing very seriously. He's having to unmute himself because I muted him while he was tuning his guitar rudely on a live stream.
Yeah, it's not okay.
He's back. I was like, sounds like
you're wearing shorts right now. What's the temperature there?
No, even Sam's wardrobe.
It's actually right at freezing here.
But,
we're in the middle of a deep freeze here. What's the temperature in Regina there, Joe?
The last time I looked, it was minus 23.
Yeah, we're just heading down there now.
That's Celsius. This is a Fahrenheit show.
Yeah,
even though we're the minority.
Zero, -3, something like that. It's actually supposed to get to, with wind chill on Friday, minus 42, which I think is actually minus 40. Isn't minus 40 the same either way?
Yeah, it's like minus 35, I think, is where everything lines up.
Temperature's stupid.
So cold enough for you?
Yeah, we're just entering the deep freeze now here. All the friggin' animals outside, all the waters are freezing. It's
we're about to get that soon. I don't know if it's going to get down to you, Sam, but we've had a super mild winter so far. I mean, it has gotten
here.
So
it has not snowed at all. A couple of like flurries here and there, but nothing that's even covered the ground. And it hasn't gotten really much below freezing, maybe a couple of, again, Fahrenheit. So we're in like a couple of like 25, 30 degrees, but we're having this weekend, early into next week is when it's going to get down to negatives down over here. We're getting, I think
we don't have that.
I had a great Christmas day. I went to Tim Hortons on Christmas Day and I had shorts, which was awesome.
Yeah,
I love the text that day, Rob. That was so good.
Well, see, the reason I went to shorts because my meal tonight required my oven, and I'm, again, like Alex mentioned earlier, I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment, so my oven was on 500 degrees, and I was moving around and had to carry my trash down. It was a whole ordeal. So, and
that's a 1-bedroom apartment with like no partner, no girlfriend, just you alone, right, Sam?
With a lot of guitars and memories. Yeah,
you'll be playing with G strings one way or another.
You can say that sounds like the start of a song. A lot of guitars and some memories. That could be an album, if nothing else. The album
Holy
title.
Shit! Good job, Joe.
My whole discography is Heartbreak. That's the name of the.
How many guitars?
I don't know, Dave. As long as these hoop tees keep going, I'm gonna keep going. No, I don't know.
I'm probably
depends. The tees are hot. The tees are going. Well, they're not that hot. No, it's been funny watching the viewer count. It somehow is hovering between 6 and 13. It never lands anywhere in the middle. It's always between 6 and I'm like, and it's like 13. And I'm like, that's not bad.
Jason, you're heavy breathing.
Jason, yeah, Jason. Earlier when you went on, I had to mute you because I swear you're like in the bathroom or something. So,
He's got his wireless mic and he's gone to the bathroom.
he did earlier. I was like, Jason farted. I'm shutting it down.
That's like prime like COVID work meetings when like people would get up without pants on and everything. Just go to the bathroom like with their tablet or whatever. It's like, all right, you can take care of your own little square here.
Well, and I'll go back to Joe because Joe, it's really funny you mentioned that. I'll throw Sam on. Well, it's not under the bus. It's live, but Sam's pretty stringent with his what qualifies as Americana. And what we were laughing when you mentioned Tom Petty because he had a moment where he was like, "I'm going to tell you all right now, Tom Petty is not Americana."
Oh, really? Okay. I guess I'm out then.
Yeah, Sam, I was like, well, fuck you, Joe. Thanks for coming. Thanks for playing. But
yeah.
While Sam might be very strict on his Americana, you gotta watch mine, Joe. I did all Canadian artists.
Oh, well, there you go.
And there was some Kendall Carson in there just for you.
Perfect. That's good. I've got the I get shit in my head. And I got to get it out. So I've got about 18 things scheduled for the next 6 months that I've already filmed. Anyway, one of them is actually all Saskatchewan bands. So there's one that might be interesting. And the challenge is show me and to narrow it down a little bit, Rob. So I did the Canadian one, the 10 albums I listened to, but Canadian. But then, so now I've narrowed it down to Saskatchewan. But so like from you, I'd like everybody from Ontario or go as close as you can do. I can't do 10 bands from Regina. I can do 2.5 or whatever.
I'll jump all over that.
Yeah, so I think that one will be interesting.
Yeah, of course.
And hopefully from around a bunch of different places too, right? So
one of my favorite bands is from, I think, Regina.
Queen City Kids?
One Bad Son.
One Bad Son, Saskatoon, actually.
Saskatoon, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Rob, I've been listening to that.
What do you think, man?
Yeah. Black Buffalo. That might come up in the video, actually. That one might come up. They've lost.
Actually, I have a connection with the drummer.
Yeah.
Of course.
I know a few people. Jason, every day Jason's like, man, do you know everybody? I know a few people.
That's good though. Yeah, they've lost a couple people, but the two mainstays are there. They've got a young lady on bass now, I think. I can't remember what she's playing, right? So they were not here, or were they here? They might have been here in December, and I think I was like I couldn't go, but I've seen them 4 or 5 times and would go again. So there must have been a conflict of some sort. But
I'd love to see them.
Yeah, and new music too soon. At least that's what he keeps saying, but they've been saying it for a year. So
that's what they're saying. And apparently, because I know Kurt through a mutual friend, Kurt the drummer, I asked them, I said, any chance you could put out the self-titled album, which was 2009, whatever that was, put it out on vinyl? He goes, do you think people would buy it? I said, fuck yeah. So they're going to press that on vinyl later this year.
Good. That's good. Yeah. All I've got, on vinyl, all I've got is Black Buffalo, but it's autographed though too. And is it the 4 main? I think it was the 4 originals still, because when I saw them at that time, I think it was. So yeah.
So my copy of the only one I own in physical format is their self-titled, which is the one that has Retribution Blues, and which is my favorite song. Yeah. I got a promotional copy, and I showed it to Kurt, and he goes, we only made like 50 of those. How did you get one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they're good. They're very good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. So they're going to come up in that. So I think that'll be good, because I'd like to see, I
probably have the sheepdogs in there too.
Yeah, you'll see.
Okay. Yeah. I'm all over that. I'll respond to it.
Oh. Good.
What'd you do there, Alex? We look different.
I have no idea. Weird.
Is this our baseball card? Oh no, don't put me on one side.
I have no idea.
Where'd Jason go?
I don't know.
Huh.
Left. Weird. Or Sam. Just people. Whatever.
I guess they just said we don't want to talk about Regina, Saskatchewan.
Actually, I think it was the Regina rhymes with fun joke, I think, is where we were going. Somebody in the chat said that anyway. So yeah.
I only got a couple more minutes here. I'm just letting you know. I'm petering out, fellas. I'm gonna
yeah.
finish my wine here.
Rob, One Bad Son, were they the band that you sent me?
Yes, I told you
Yeah.
to listen to Retribution Blues.
Yeah, kind of throwback type hard
Yeah.
rock stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of in the vein of like Dirty Honey.
Yeah.
And I think they still have the TVs. I think. I thought I saw some shots of the last shows they did. I think they still, or they questioned whether they should keep it, and everybody was like, "Yeah, you got to keep the
you gotta
TV.
keep
Like
them.
that's got to be a standard for forever." So
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely.
I'm just give me a moment here. I'm just zooming in on Joe's setup. Like what's going on here? Enlighten me what you got in
You
front
gotta
of you.
watch
there.
his room tour.
You
There's
gotta
a
watch the
lot
room
of track
tour.
and
I will for sure, but right
Okay.
now it looks like you got a lot
Dave.
of cool stuff.
Guys,
Hey,
how are you?
Dave. Yeah, so I mean, just the way that I've got it set up, this is the joystick for my arcade and my virtual pinball and stuff. That's that going on.
Wow.
Yeah, this is all my slot cars. I kind of went down that rabbit hole during COVID with my son, so we've got way too many cars that are sitting getting dusty right now. And there's a little bit of train going on, and then there's albums over there, and there's albums over there, and there's albums over there, and there's albums over there. And there's
I want to
pinball
come and
machine
play in your
here.
man cave, man.
Yeah, there's
Man,
some
oh
stuff
man,
going
that's
on.
so cool. I'm like totally nerding out
Yeah.
on Joe's setup here.
Joe's got a great. Joe, you're one of the people that like. What? Let's put it this way, Larry. Like when I first came across your channel, I think when you were doing the tag, because of your setup and like how high quality the video and the room and the setup was, I had just assumed that you were like this huge like YouTuber that I just didn't know about.
No.
Which
But thank
I mean,
you.
that's a compliment of like, oh, dude, that's a hell of a setup.
You have trains there too?
It's just a little bit. Yeah.
I'm a total train nerd in addition to being a music
just a
nerd.
little bit over there. I had a whole bunch set up, and I kind of bailed on the trains a little bit. They take up a lot of space, so
They do, yeah.
there's still a little bit there, but there's tons and tons of track and cars and engines and all that stuff packed away. So all a guy needs is space. That's all he needs. So
Cool.
What's a man cave if you can't fill it with toys?
yeah,
Dave,
exactly.
Dave, it's so nice to be up here with you, Dave. What's new in
Dave.
your world?
Well, our winter's freaking cold right now since Christmas.
Yeah, you might be kind of the same temperature ish as me. You get that low that's coming across. You guys, Jay, you probably got it a while ago, and it's coming through to us now, I think so.
We're just getting hit with the cold, like literally right now. Like it dropped about 5 to 10 degrees in the last 2 hours. We're getting that snap right now.
Now, Jason, is Jay like a nickname for you? Do you go by Jay sometimes? What is help us?
Yes.
I go both ways.
We knew that.
Yeah,
That's what we heard.
Either way, 100%. Depends who it is, and I'm comfortable either way. I should probably go by Jay. There's so many Jasons in the VC all of a sudden now. I subbed to like 2 new Jasons in the last like week and a half.
Duh, John.
Yeah, hard to say where Dave's from. I don't know. If only.
If only there was a clue.
Well, I'm from Nebraska, right next door. You know,
He loves the flat land.
you're an idiot.
Just like Wyoming's got some hills and mountains. Look at
So,
John. John,
I don't know if you guys know or not, but you can actually
Talking to
look at
himself?
the chat on the side.
Yeah. Wyoming Dave. What's the temperature right now there, Wyoming Dave?
It's been below 20 at nighttime. Pretty cold.
Oh wow. Holy shit.
Shit, I know. It's fucking cold here.
now, Dave, I've been seeing you jump on some of these tags. Are you going to jump on the Prog tag?
I don't think I could do the Americana tag. I'd have to Prog tag. I don't have that many Prog albums. That's the only thing.
Well, you know, just do like Jason and show the same Pink Floyd album 20 times. You know,
Hey, not that there's anything wrong with that.
nothing wrong with it. You know, or you could get super fancy. Instead of showing the same Pink Floyd album 20 times, you could show 2 different Pink Floyd albums 10 times.
Yeah. Metal and Dark Side.
Actually, I have
That's all
one
I-
Floyd
I
album.
tell you, Alex, I'm doing it, and I'm showing yours and my favorite Kid Rock album for every question.
I'm waiting for Kid Rock to do his Prog album, man.
Sponsored
He's
by
deep-
Bud
he's
Light.
deeper than
You
you know.
think I'm joking? I'm serious. I got film it tomorrow.
Oh god.
Oh man, anything for the support, Rob. I love it.
I might be able to do the Prog one. I off the top of my head, I'm thinking I've got Tom Petty. Oh, wait a minute. That's not right.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
No, I'm
okay.
telling-
Hold on.
Joe.
I'm telling you, I tried to make it so open for
Yeah.
interpretation. I think a lot of people could do it.
Well, I've got a King Crimson, I know for sure. I've got Uriah Heep. Yeah, I could do it. I could probably pull
Easy.
it off. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now we're
Yeah.
talking, man. Now we're talking.
There's a lot out there. I don't know. Is there? I don't think there's too many, because why not? Everybody's got a little bit of everything, or everybody's got their niche that they want. So, the Beatles ones are easy, because I shouldn't say that. That's not fair. But I think we've all got lots of Beatles, right? But so there was those. But
Yeah.
I only got 3 Beatles albums, actually. That's it.
That's actually better than me, Dave. I only have the one, and I just
What?
I know. I have the
Have you
Hard
met
Days
Rob?
Night.
How are we
I-
friends?
yeah,
I
Rob
have the Hard Days Night. I know all the hits, but like the Beatles
I have
deep cuts would
300.
probably be over my head.
Well, see, you're the perfect candidate then, I think, because I was going to go and I was going to get the new box set, right? The new editions. And I'm going, why the hell would I do that? I don't need it. It would only be just because that's it. Or if you got the colored ones, it would because I wanted to have the colored ones. But it's good and there's nothing wrong with it.
If
But
you
see,
want the
that
colored
maybe-
ones, get the original ones from 1975.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I did a whole video on my loathing of the new Red and Blue albums.
Yeah.
And how I thought it was a cash grab.
Our Walmart has that. What's the new Beatles single? Now and Then.
Now and then.
Yeah.
But they want $18 for just 140. I don't know if I buy that or
Crazy.
not.
Yeah.
I bought it because I need the song, but I'm
Well,
not
yeah.
buying the Red and Blue because I'm
Are you
not
Are
buying.
you talking about this
I
thing,
already
Dave?
Yeah,
That
thing.
one.
This stupid $20 fucking thing.
Walmart has that.
I do like the song.
It's not
It's a
bad.
good song for sure. It is.
And have you ever heard "Love Me Do"? I've never. What a class.
I have.
I know. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's like, we'll throw it on there.
I've heard
But I'm
every
not.
Beatles top 10
Rob, you might have
before.
commented on this on maybe it was my video of like, the "Love Me Do" thing. I guess for me, and maybe this is my short fall, is like people listen to "Love Me Do" and they're like, yeah, it's "Love Me Do," but the mix is so much better. I don't know that I have the time or anything to go into look at, to hear different.
So here's the
mixes
thing.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
I would consider myself a Beatles expert
Yeah.
I do.
because I've had Beatles records for 30 some odd years. I have everything. I have 300 Beatles records. I know my shit.
Holy shit.
But if you were to just play me "Love Me Do," "Love Me Do" is not a good example. If you're to play me a certain song and go, what mix is it? I have no fucking idea. I can only hear it if I'm listening, if I'm doing a head-to-head. To me, the song sounds like the song. I'm not an audiophile. My ears are kind of shot. I've got tinnitus. And, whatever. I can't tell the difference, and I don't really have to have people are like, well, you got to buy the Red album because it has new stereo mixes. I don't give a fuck. The original, the ones from 2014, which were direct analog transfers, those will work just fine. Thank you very much. "Love Me Do" is a bit of an exception, though. And I like what they did on that single because there's 3 different recordings of "Love Me Do" because there's 3 different drummers. So
Sure.
"Love Me Do" is a little different. So you can get Ringo, you can get Pete Bester, you can get Alan White.
I think those newer remixes are silly. I'd rather listen to the original 60s songs. Personally.
I like the stuff that Giles Martin has done. I thought
I haven't heard any of that.
But
Yeah.
don't
I'm on board with Dave here. I'm totally on board with Dave.
Cool.
Like whatever the original artist, whatever they put out originally was what they thought you would want to hear.
Exactly. Jason.
What do you? Dave, before I forget, did you?
I think it's
Were you happen to
October
be
8th.
Were you the moderator for
Maybe
that Westman stream with the Rhino releases? Were you on there?
On Monday,
Was it
It's
Monday?
today.
Yeah.
Might have been, yeah.
I didn't buy. He didn't. I seen he had one on, but I didn't watch it on Monday. I skipped it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know you're.
I can
tied
replay
close
it
to
back if I want to. I guess.
What did they, Jason? What did they did? I'm blanking, completely
No,
blanking. What did they
Rhino.
announce?
So Rhino's new releases are television's Marquee Moon.
That's right, Marquee Moon.
And Dave, what was the jazz title?
Is
I
it
missed-
Yako?
No,
Was it Jacko?
I have no
What
idea.
the hell was
Oh,
it?
it was it Ornette Coleman?
Yes,
Maybe-
it was an
Yeah,
Ornette
That
Coleman.
sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. The television Marquee Moon, though, I don't know. For years, well, a couple years now, I've seen that album cover. It's pretty iconic. I didn't know anything about it. That collection that I'm kind of pouring through off and on had it, and I was like, well, shit, this is supposed to be great. It's cheap. I'll buy it. It's basically a blind buy for me. I don't know anything
Yep.
about it. I thought I'd try it. Played it. It's fucking really good. Like I really enjoy it. So I have like an OG Canadian pressing of it. So I'm not going to buy the new Rhino one, but I'm sure the cover and the packaging and the sound is probably better than what I got. But whatever. At the end of the day, it's about the music, and like Mazzy says, and I'm really happy with it.
Jason,
It
that
is
OG is
a
not
cool
cheap.
release.
Hey
I
guys,
picked up-
can I interrupt for a second? Guess
Yeah.
what I found? This is promotional. This isn't the 70s television. This is a 1992 large television album. Heard this one?
Yeah.
Nope. Haven't seen that one.
It originally, I guess it was only out on CD and cassette tape back in 1992. This is a promo copy, which is harder to find. So it's a 90s television album.
Yeah.
I don't know if you-
Nice digging, Dave.
Guys, are you like me? And the best part, not the best part, but one of the best parts of Dave's vinyl tag was he would just go away. It's like he was doing it live.
Oh, yeah.
Like, here it is, guys. This is me doing it right now. And he'd go away and he'd come back. That was awesome, though, Dave. I enjoyed it. It was great, man. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
I didn't do that very prepared, did I? That was
No, I liked it. It was good. It was like, okay, how long is it going to take him this time? Oh, that
Rob,
one must have been a
Rob
little
Blocker
closer.
told me that too. Rob Blocker comments someplace.
I enjoyed it. It was good.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Joe.
Look at this.
Yeah.
John's trying to stump you, Rob. What do you got there?
It's either, I can't remember. It's either October 8th or 10th, 1940.
It was John.
And I didn't
look
Google
that
it. It's either the
That's
8th or
cool.
the 10th. Or the
And a
9th.
day that ends in Y.
Yeah.
Or I could be a smartass and say he was born on his birthday.
Yeah,
there
that's a
you go.
good answer.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. Well, and funny, I don't know how it is for Canadian pressings, but
His son was born on the same day.
the Marquee Moon original US press runs a pretty, that's like $100 and some record.
Yeah.
What's funny, it's interesting that they announced that. I picked up the funny enough because it's from Rhino, but Rhino issued that on their Rocktober last year.
Oh, really?
And so I don't know. I don't know if you follow any of the Rocktober stuff, but like what's funny is that they are terrible. I like Rhino. But when they do their Rocktober or Start Your Ear Off Right session, like those different releases that they do, sometimes like the big one recently was that they did Astral Weeks and it was a Kevin Gray cut. But they don't tell anybody. Like it's not on the hype sticker.
I
They
almost
don't
like
advertise it. And so it's just like one of those things of like, oh shit, did you know this Astral Weeks was a Kevin Gray cut? Oh my God, this is amazing. And then people have to like spread the word on it. But they did Marquee Moon last year for Rocktober. I picked it up because it was an album I always wanted. Picked it up. Those are like $25. I don't know that I need like the audiophile quote unquote version of it, but I also don't know if that's a Kevin Gray cut or not, because again, it was a Rocktober thing.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of appreciate when a label doesn't, tries to keep it pretty, not hush hush, but like they're not bragging. It's like, here you go. Here's a good quality friggin' piece of output. Buy it if you want it.
Hey, I got
I
to
like
say
that.
hi to Kevin Gray on Steve Westman's show a few weeks back. Seems like
Oh, that's awesome, man.
That is
Yeah.
cool.
cool dude.
Jason's jealous there. John,
I am. Oh, what's that? Is that Little Feet? What is that?
Terrapin Station's Grateful.
Turpine Station.
okay.
Right.
I'll let Racer go. I like Terrapin Station. That's kind of the era Grateful Dead I really like. It has the title track. That's that's a long 18, 19-minute song. Joe, you got it probably in front of you.
Yeah. And no, this isn't the Rhino, but this is in a small collection that I bought the other day. And this collection, well, I shouldn't say I bought the collection. I bought 40 of them, which is most of it, and I'm gonna buy some more. But what do we got? Yeah, it doesn't actually say on there, but side 2. Yeah, it's just the whole side. Which is, you guys discuss amongst yourselves, and I will look this up. Of course, it's not the side that I've got facing out.
It's a wicked album cover. It's very iconic.
I love it.
think that's
Well,
beautiful.
yeah, John, and I would say, you know what, this brought up Workman's Dead and American Beauty are kind of their Americana, folkier, countryer records. I mean, big vocal harmonies, acoustic instruments. They're great records, but they're two kind of outliers. I always kind of point this out, you know, when people are like, how do I get into the Grateful Dead? And some people will bring up these two records, and I think they're great records, but I don't know that they're great records for people trying to get into the Grateful Dead because they're not really indicative of the Grateful Dead sound. Terrapin Station is going to be more in line of like Blues for Allah and Mars Hotel. Like, it's a little, I'm not going to call it proggy, but it's very different than American Beauty and Workman's Dead. Those two are like a 1-2 punch in folky country Americana stuff, while Terrapin Station's a little bit more long-winded.
Oh, really?
In that way. So yeah.
Look, and it's even a promo copy. Ah,
That's pretty sweet.
Nice job.
well, it's a promo copy, and it must be of some. It's like not a white label, but it's a promo copy. And the reason that the sticker's real because I got a couple. Anyway, it's in the shrink still. So this thing is just perfect. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I love that era. I mean, because that's what is that right after? Was it after the flood?
Yeah,
I was mixed up. Before the flood is Dylan, after the flood is the Dead, right? Yeah.
Before the flood is the band.
Or right, exactly. Yeah.
Fuck
Fair,
Dylan.
you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool stuff on the back though too. Like just if nothing else, they were definitely great for their iconography, if that's the right word I could use.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, they did some of the killer stuff. Well, it's funny you're showing records. I mean, speaking of, I'm just going through my little bin of stuff I've pulled recently for videos and stuff. I mean, it's really hard. I don't actually know the story of this record in terms of the cover. I probably should, but it's just, could you imagine it being 1969?
Is that Gentle Giant or King Crimson?
King Crimson, and this being in the record. I mean, could you just imagine this being in the record bin and looking at I mean,
Looking at that face.
Yeah. Whether you like it or not, that is like probably the craziest, most impactful record cover ever.
Well,
oh my gosh.
There was an acid trip taken to produce the cover, and then there was multiple acid trips after to enjoy the cover. I think it's possibly how that worked. I could be wrong, but
Oh god.
so anyway, music talk with John. That didn't necessarily answer your question. I just saw. I just knew I had that one kind of handy, so I went and found it. But it's good. I think that Alex answered your question though, but not me showing that didn't answer your question because that's not the Rhino one.
He's right. It is. There is a turtle. He's right. There is a turtle playing.
Yes, he's right. There is. There is a turtle playing a banjo.
Tortoise, I think.
There's right here.
Do you want to know the story of the cover of that album, Alex?
Of what, Terrapin Station?
No, Crimson King.
Oh, you looked it up?
I did.
No, tell me. Come on, Prog guy. You can do this tag.
Absolutely. So there was a computer programmer by the name of Barry Godber, who was a friend of Peter Sinfield.
Yes.
And he painted the picture for the cover using his own face viewed through a mirror. So he painted a self-portrait of himself looking in a mirror, and that's what it is.
I
Wow.
don't think he picks up a lot of chicks.
The original painting is now owned by Robert Fripp.
That would make sense.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was big in the nose fetish world, though. I think
Yeah.
Nice.
maybe.
And Peter Sinfield, I mean, I should know this, but again, the way they sing, Sinfield was the lyricist, I believe, right? Like, I mean, King Crimson was one of the original bands that, they wrote all the music, but then they hired an outside, quote unquote, lyricist to come in. I think that was Peter Sinfield. But this might be even creepier. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's creepy.
true.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Or
They're gonna
here's the
read
thing,
your
it's one of those
fortune.
gatefolds that, it's like that's creepy enough, but then like you're also like, wait, is that his back?
Whoa.
That's like Prince Charles' ears. Or
That's
King,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
he's the king now.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, fellas, I'm going to take off. Thanks so much for having me jump on here. Good job, guys.
Cheers, Jason.
Cheers.
Appreciate you, brother.
Cheers.
Signing off, too.
Take care.
Talk soon.
I'm gonna follow Jason's lead, guys. It's getting late.
No
So.
problem. Here you guys.
All
Good
right,
seeing you. Good
man.
talking to you. Good finally talking to you in person, Joe.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
All right, guys. Have a good
Hopefully
one.
we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon, Alex.
See you, Rob.
And then there were three.
Hey, nice to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you too, Dave. Talk soon. Are you leaving? Or are you just nice to meet me from we didn't get a chance to say that?
I'll stay a little bit. No, I can stay.
There you go. Yeah, I tell you, this, I mean, you guys have been doing it for a little while, and I've been doing it for a little while. And, but this vinyl tag, it's been awesome. I mean, getting some extra views and things like that's cool. I mean, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not looking to make money. It's just, as I've kind of said all along, it's just another way to get into the collection and have a little bit of fun with it, right? And do that kind of stuff. And that's what it's been for me. And then, but through this tag and the numbers growing and things like that, just, you know, meeting more people. What's nice is talking to people whose eyes don't glaze over when you mention the word vinyl. That's a big part of it for me. And I've got some fantastic friends and they love the music, but they're just not as into it. I've got some that are, but so that's a bonus as well. And I think Marcia has mentioned that many times that I've seen in the last little bit. That's I mean, you guys, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know that's the deal, right? So
yeah. No, it's awesome. And Joe, I started my channel back in October or so.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know for you, but it was like, I was watching channels for a long time. I was in the comments, I was in the chats, all that kind of stuff. And then it just sort of was like, you know what? Like, this is a community. It's a community. I know a lot of people see community as like a different word, like it's one of those things. But for me, I was like, my best memories growing up were just sitting around, maybe having a couple beers, talking about music, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like what I thrived on. And I was like, I want that experience again, right?
Yeah. No, I 100% get that. Yeah. It's, again, I've got a pretty core group of good buddies or whatever, but I can't seem to get them to come over on a Thursday night and listen to vinyl with me, right? We do stuff, but we don't do that. So this is a way of doing that. Now I know we can't play anything loud enough that we won't get shut down. That's the only problem, but we could also have stuff on in the background. But it's awesome. And I don't like to talk about politics. I don't like to talk about a bunch of other stuff, but I do like to talk about that and the weather, right? Because, we can always have a conversation.
Right. Always the music and weather, man.
Politics either. Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's not for me. So, but Music with John does want us to talk about Billy Joel. And you know what? So there's a guy that's kind of maligned sometime, but Billy Joel is, I'm a huge Billy Joel fan and still on my list of guys that I need to see. Thankfully, my list of bands that I need to see has shrunk a lot, especially in the last year, but Billy's still on the list. So I should have made it to Madison Square Garden one time, but I didn't get a chance to get there. And I think either he's done or is the last one in March, the 100th or something like that. I can't remember. John, maybe but if you're going to see Billy Joel, that's where you see him, is in Madison Square Gardens, I would imagine.
That's New York City, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I knew that. Well, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like I said, I like Billy Joel, and my wife is a huge fan. So I think we may have every Billy Joel album. I would have to look and double check, but I think we might have up to a certain point. There's always those 90s ones that are a little tougher, but I think for the most part we do. John, have you ever seen him live? I think a good one would have been him and Elton John together. That dueling pianos would have been pretty cool, but I was not able to do that. Well, there you go. Tickets to see him in February. So that's awesome. That's good. Alex, how about you? Billy Joel fan, and have you seen him live?
I've never seen him live. I am a fan. I have sort of most of those sort of like core, period records.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, just but it's funny to me too, though, is like I would never back to like the whole like Prog tag thing. No one in the right mind would ever call Billy Joel Prog.
Right.
I don't think so.
But scenes from an Italian restaurant,
Sure.
I mean, or wow, I can't think of the name. The huge song. I can't think of it, but it doesn't matter. What I'm saying, like, it's like a lot of these artists had these songs that
Sure.
certainly had these sort of progressive tendencies or compositional tendencies involved with them.
Yeah,
Angry Young Man. Thank you, John. Yeah, right. Like, you think about the song Angry Young Man. If someone were to tell me that was like a prog song, I'd be like, I could buy that.
Sure. Yeah.
No,
I get that. Definitely. So I'm surprised. I don't know the exact number of Vinyl Tag 24s that I've watched. It's double digits for sure. I don't know if it's 50, but it's 20. We'll say it's 20, 25. I'm surprised actually that either Glass Houses or 52nd Street has not been, at least that I can remember, one of this is the album that everybody has. Because I think, at least I know I've got it. I haven't not had one yet. So they've all been fairly standard for the most part. Michael and, Pink Floyd, which is what I showed, and Fleetwood Mac Rumors. But there was a good one that I think maybe Springsteen, Born in the USA. I think that one came up in one that I watched last night or the night before. So.
Oh, hey, Sam. Sam.
Good night, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
I look forward to chatting with you again at a future date. And Tom Petty falls under Americana. I'm going to die on that hill. I don't care. I'm going to die on that hill.
Well, it is funny. Yeah, let's just talk. It's funny, like the genres that it's like, no, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. And opposed to like, where else does that? I don't know. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, sure. Like, you wouldn't call the Rolling Stones jazz.
No.
Probably not.
But you could call them country, and you could call them blues, obviously, right?
Yes,
especially that country a lot. Even on the new one, I was listening to Hackney Diamonds again yesterday. There's a pretty darn country-ish song on there. There might even be steel guitar in it. Not that that's a defining thing for country, but yeah. So
no, 1000%, yeah. And so that's why I keep trying to push on like the whole like prog tag thing is like,
sure.
We can get outside of sort of just like this idea that very rarely is there a band that simply just falls under prog. They're nothing else but prog. There's always these other sort of pieces to it.
Agreed.
Yeah. John talking more. Yeah.
So it looks like I've got time to get to New York and see Billy Joel. It looks like July 25th. I'm going to Green Day in Minneapolis in August, so that'll be good.
I like Green Day.
Good. That's good. Yeah, it's Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas.
It's that tour. Yeah, I saw Green Day here when they were on like their Hella Mega tour or whatever it's called a couple years ago.
Before. Yeah.
I think that was with Fall Out Boy and Weezer and Weezer. Yeah.
Weezer was good. I saw Weezer last year. I thought they were good. I enjoyed it.
They're great.
Yeah.
And I went for Weezer, and then obviously like Fall Out Boy and Green Day, like I don't have any qualms against them, and they're entertaining. They're they're good for what they are. It's not really my thing, but
I'll show you.
Yeah.
Dave went and got records. I love it. Yeah.
There it is. Is that Dookie?
Yeah, that was my 90s classic answer.
This is a 2008 repress bought from Walmart. So it's not the original, but sounds good. Anyway.
Yeah, our local record store, John, is having a Green Day listening party. It'll be good.
Somniac reissue repress.
Nice. That's great. Is that like metallic? Show that cover again, Dave.
It really reflects the. Here's a back cover. Kind of a.
Yeah, that's awesome. That looks great. Very nice.
I got some American Idiot.
Yeah.
Good album too.
Yeah, I for the comment here, no, I've never published any sort of. I'm curious, actually. I mean, for both of you, but mostly for you, Joe. Like, if not to say critic, but if writing or article writing was ever a thing for you, like were you a music critic or dabbled into that world at all?
No, not really. No, I mean, I'll give you my opinion if I go see a concert or if I listen to an album and that, but I would never have called myself a critic by any means. And I was never that good with written word. I could always talk about stuff. So it was more that, but, and I've thought about rating videos and stuff like that, and I could certainly do it. And it would just be my opinion. I think that's always what it is. I don't think any of us doing this, there might be a couple, well, I know there's a couple that take themselves a little more serious than maybe the rest of us. It wouldn't necessarily be a rating. It would just be, here's the ones I like in this specific order. Right. So.
Yeah, I have a very complicated, whatever you want to call it, like the idea of like the music or any sort of art critic, right? Like, I think I probably just struggle with that in general, just because, how many records do we look at today that are just absolute classics that the critics ripped apart?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I also think too, like, there's an argument of whether this even matters, but like, I always think about it like, could you imagine somebody analyzing a basketball team, or like somebody or hot Canadians hockey, right? Like they're an analyst for like the NHL, and they've never played hockey in their entire life.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
There's part of me that's like, why do I trust this person? Like, they don't even know how to hold a stick.
No.
Who are they to tell us about these players, about these teams, and what they need to do? And I've always felt that way about art critics, of like, these people, it's like they're not in bands. They're not creating music. They're, what I mean? Like, why do I trust them?
I get that completely. Movies is the same way. There are some of my favorite movies have been panned or poo-pooed by some of the best critics. And it's like, yeah, again, it's for me anyway, I did my little pinball countdown one or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all just personal preference. That's all it is. And I agree, disagree, or like me, don't necessarily watch it to agree or disagree. That's their opinion. And just, to get something out of it. That's all it's ever about, I think, anyway. So.
Yeah. It's, and ultimately too, and I don't know, I mean, question, I guess, for both of you of like, do you go, we all rate, or rate's not the right word, but like, we consider the quality of music when we listen to it, but sometimes we're obviously listening to music that might be outside of our, I don't know. Okay. Like my guess is that, Joe, you hear Kiss records different than I hear Kiss records.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm a Kiss fan. I am a Kiss fan, but you probably, as like a bigger fan, hear them differently.
Right.
And, it's like one of those things of like, if I'm not I don't know anything about classical music. So I'm not going to go to the local symphony and write a review on it.
No. You're just going to go, and the next day, if someone asks you, you're going to say, yeah, it was pretty good. I was entertained. Or no, that was shitty. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
As far as like your Kiss example is a good example. We both could listen to the same song, and I've maybe just got either more and or for sure different memories of it. And that's what it comes down to. The song is the song, right? But
Sure.
I totally get it. And yeah, I understand. I understand completely what you're saying.
Yeah. And, but and on the other side of it too, it's like a complicated relationship, because at least in the old days, not to call either of you old.
I'm old. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to speak for Dave, but I'm old. So,
my assumption is maybe for you, Joe, especially from like the radio perspective, and this is how it was with, things like Rolling Stone or Cream magazine or Kerrang, is like, if you were a fan, you connected with certain journalists.
Definitely. Yeah.
And there were the ones that you trusted more than others, and the ones that you would say, oh, like, Joe loves this record, therefore I'm going to check out this record. Or Joe hates this record, therefore I have no time for it. And I think that's also valuable, right? Like there's a lot of ways that we've gotten into music based on simply the people that we trust introducing us to that type of music, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that's what that's what our local record store guy should be, if he's not, but that's what he should be too, is to give suggestions. Now there's guys you can walk into and they wouldn't give you the time of day, but I was in one in Vegas this last year, and the young guy that was working was just outstanding. You know, he was just a young kid, but he was great to talk to. And, you know, I had questions, he answered, and then it became, but well, if you listen to that, you should listen to this. And you should be able to go into your record store and come out with something either that you really went in looking for or something that you had no idea that you were looking for, and you take them home. And either way, you're going to enjoy it. Right.
Yeah. And I've always, well, actually, Joe, this is good for you. Interesting. Like, the way I've considered my listening habits and my collection, especially across the genres, and I've gotten, I'm not going to say nobody's ever said anything negative about this, but it's funny because like I'm a very like I'm very non-critical when it comes to music. In terms of like, there are very few albums that I hate. There are very few albums that I'm like very critical of.
Yeah.
And I see some people like, you know, in like the YouTube community that are like, oh, this album is trash. Like, this is terrible. What an awful excuse for a record.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny because like I like see it through, and I don't even know if this is accurate, but I don't really care. Of like, I try to hear things through the lens of like a DJ on a radio station. Like, could you imagine a DJ coming on and saying like, well, thank you all for coming back. That is the latest from Mott the Hoople. God, what a trash song that was, you know, like, oh God, who would ever, you're like, no, like, you know, they, and not to say that, and they might actually hate Mott the Hoople.
Of course. Sure.
But,
oh yeah,
but
no,
like,
definitely.
you know, it's this idea of like, oh my God, like there's a bunch of people who love this band. I'm going to respect and appreciate it for what it is. Even if it's not my thing, I also don't see that as an opportunity to, if it's not my thing, I'm just going to say it's not my thing.
Right.
I'm not going to say, oh, jazz isn't my thing, so I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
If jazz isn't your thing, you shouldn't be reviewing jazz albums.
No, or to shit on someone else's opinion. That doesn't make any sense to me. But yet people still do it often, right?
Oh,
like, I don't have a problem with, well, no, that's not for me. But oh, that's ridiculous. Why do you like that? They like it because they like it. I don't like it, and that's fair. I think that's fair to say. I don't have a problem with I don't like it, or that's not my style, or whatever. But I don't think you need to say, well, that's shitty or whatever. And that comes up more and more in this one Facebook page that I should not be on anymore, but I still am, of course.
Yeah, because you don't learn better. You don't know better.
Yeah, exactly. So
all right, so Joe and Dave, who are those huge bands for you that you fucking hate? No.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the other thing too, is that I try and keep it as positive as possible, right? Like Mazzy did his wankers thing, right? And I could do a wankers thing, or I could do a whatever, call them knobs, do the Canadian version of knobs. That's what we call wankers, kind of. But I like to keep it positive because I thought of another video today. That's the thing, is I sit around and I think of stuff to record, but what it was going to be, and I might still do it, but I like to keep things positive, is albums that I love except for that one stupid song. Like, I really like Night Moves a lot by Bob Seger, and I love Bob Seger, but if I never hear Old Time Rock and Roll again, I'll die a happy man. Right? Like, there's those albums too, where if you pull the one out, and it was great before, but I'm at the level, I have now heard Old Time Rock and Roll as many times as I need to hear it in my life. And even today's version of what made me think of it was Sweet Home Alabama. And to consider a Leonard Skinner song, I've heard it enough. For me, that's a lot. But it fell into that category today of, nope, I'm good. Everything else is still great. I just don't want to hear that. Like, I could go see them live, and if they didn't play Sweet Home Alabama, 90% would lose their mind and go, yeah, that's all right. I don't care.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, people have been talking about that. Is that apologies for the Beatles fans out there, the hundreds of people watching, but is that the take with the Revolver, right? Like, is it Revolver that has what's the Ringo song?
I forget which.
Yellow Submarine.
That's on Revolver, right?
Revolver, right?
No, Yellow Submarine's on.
Was it Rubber Soul? I get mixed up. Jeez, I forget mixed up between.
No, it is
People are
not.
going to kill us. People are going to be like, we're never doing this stream again. These people don't know about the Beatles.
Yeah, that's it.
But you know, you say that from, you know, it's funny, like you say that too, because the other side of it, I never need to hear that song again, Joe. Like the song you mentioned. Yeah, see, I was right, Sam.
It is Revolver.
Sam,
Sam, I
don't
thought you
yell
were
at me.
going
I
to
was right
bed.
the whole time. It's Revolver. It's on Revolver. See, but and I'm fine with the song. I don't, you know, Yellow Submarine. It's like a rug, right? Like I'm stealing a bit of a stand-up bit from Louis C.K. from years ago.
Yeah.
It's a rug to me. Like if someone asked me how do I feel about that rug, no matter what the rug was, I'd be like, it's fine. Like I don't hate it. I'm not creaming my shorts about it. Like it's a rug. It's fine.
Yeah,
It
but
is
that rug.
fine.
Yeah, but that rug really tied the room together, though.
Well, maybe, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not all of them.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like going back to the old time rock and roll thing. It's like that is the song. Not to say put them on the map, but like millions
Sure.
of people love that song.
Yeah, and how deep into his career was that song already, right? Like someone mentioned on one of mine, I show Bob Seger back in '72 or whatever, right? And
Yep.
and that's a long time before old time rock and roll. And so there's a lot of albums that's just, you're right, that it got to that point.
Actually,
before-
old time rock and roll didn't even chart. Well, I'm going by the Billboard, U.S. Billboard charts.
Yeah,
Old time rock and roll only got to number 28. He had
Yes,
bigger
but
hits.
it was huge. It
Yeah.
blew up after Risky Business.
Yes, I've seen that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
Yep, I've seen that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like every record has that. You know, so many records have that song. I think "Sweet Home Alabama" is a perfect example of that.
That was a popular song.
And you know, and John's point's a good one here too. Yeah, John, I was watching that video earlier of like going through stuff of like, you know, I think it's easy to be like, oh, you know, trash that, whatever. But I always go back to the most important thing that people get into with any form of art, but especially music, is the sort of like emotional impact that it has on you, right? Like there's this element of like, oh, like when I was growing up, I was listening to XYZ band. I show this all the time on my channel. It's funny now thinking about it, but my favorite band growing up, the band that made me fall in love with music and just obsess over this whole thing, was Def Leppard. And like, it's funny now looking back, I still love the band, but looking back, I was like, you were just an impressionable 14-year-old dude.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you know what I mean? There wasn't like, I was not analyzing this shit from a perspective of like, ooh, like, let's talk about that guitar solo. Let's talk about the production qualities. Like, no, like I was a 14-year-old kid who just loved this stuff because it spoke to me I like the songs.
Yeah, it sounds cool when they light the match, right? Like it's, you know, it was stuff like that, right? It was just
People tell me I need to find their first On Through the Night High and Dry albums. They always say that those are the best. Their first two Def Leppard first albums.
Yeah,
a lot of people say. I mean, those are different records. I mean, they were the new wave of British heavy metal during that time, right? Like those records are closer to, you know, Iron Maiden and Saxon and Thin Lizzy than they were what they would become later.
Yeah.
But you know, I use them as an example because it's like the critics didn't love them and critics hated them, and that's fine. And there's moments that today of like a 33-year-old, I'm like, man, is Def Leppard really my favorite band? And you have like this moment of acceptance of like, yeah, because they emotionally impacted me at the right time in my life.
Yeah,
sure.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
I
have
think
my picture
Kiss,
taken with them.
right, and bringing it back to Kiss, you know, Kiss is a perfect example of this. I think Kiss is like the ultimate guilty pleasure band, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
like there's no reason for this.
If I would have seen Kiss, if I was 20 and Kiss would have come on the Paul Lynde Halloween special, which is the first place that I ever saw them, they probably would have made an impression, but not as much as they made an impression on an 11 or 12 or whatever, however old I was at that point, right? It's when you come across them that makes a difference. And you're right. And Dave, you should actually go and find High and Dry and On Through the Night. You should, because they're good. They're very good albums. And I like Pyromania and I like Hysteria.
Hysteria
they're just different. They're not better. They're just different for sure. Pyromania is probably a favorite of mine, actually. But
I get it. Some of the diehard hard rock fans, Hysteria was more commercial, so I get that why some people don't like that album.
Well, you know, it's funny too, you know, to the Joe to the Kiss thing too, of like, I think there's such a good example, and there's so many bands like this, so it's not really to pick on Kiss, but you know, they're touring and they're like the ultimate, you know, they're like the ultimate commercial band at this point, right? Like a million different things going on. Who knows if they're, you know, who knows if they're singing or playing? Who knows who is on these records and all that shit? And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. To the person who discovered them when they were 13 years old, that shit doesn't matter.
No,
like
it doesn't.
they played such an emotional role in their music journey.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, just let it. Like, you know, it's like
I don't care if Vinnie Vincent is actually playing and Ace's face is on the cover. I don't give a shit, right? I bought the albums. I love the albums. I listen to the albums. I still listen to them, and I listen to the ones with Vinnie Vincent, and they're good too. And I listen to the ones with Mark St. John, and they're good too.
Right there.
Now I listened to a couple later, and they're not so good. But anyway, yeah.
So it's such a good point. And you know, it's funny, you make a great point that I've really tried to, I think, hone in on is like, I really try not to talk about better or best, but I try to talk about different and favorite.
Sure.
You know, there's so many albums out there that I could probably say, you know what, this probably isn't their best, but it means a lot to me.
An example, a little bit. I watched Brian, Embryonic Robot. Do you watch Brian's stuff?
Oh yeah, great.
So I watched his 1, 2, 3 that he did today, and what it came across to me, at least watching his and then thinking back to mine, is those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At that point, it was them gaining their stride. Like by the fourth album being their favorite, but by the 10th album being their favorite, that just was your favorite album by then. They had their shit together long before their 10th album. That just happened to be the favorite one of yours that they did, right? Or for me anyway. So yeah.
You know, one of the other things I think about too a lot is it's like perspective taking is important. Is think of those bands that you love the most, but you only love, quote unquote, the early stuff.
Yeah.
Now, so keep that in mind. Now think about the bands that you love because they were popular, because they were on the radio, because of all those different things. And then do like the cross reference of fans who are also into those things. So like the example I always give, you know, you brought up Bob Seger earlier, right? Like one of the videos I plan on doing at some point, unless you steal it from me, Joe, which more power to you if you do, is, you know, bands that had whole careers before they blew up.
Oh, sure. The overnight sensations that had 8 albums before they were the overnight sensation. Yeah. There's
Bob
lots
Seger,
of those,
you know?
right?
Twisted Sister, you know? Yeah. I mean, the list goes. Journey was a full jazz fusion band before Steve Perry joined. I mean, Steve Miller Band had a whole string of psychedelic bluesy rock records before he blew up with all this stuff.
Well, sure. You play anything prior to Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, other I guess than the one right before it. And everybody goes, "That's not Fleetwood Mac."
That's not Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, that is Fleetwood Mac.
and so I always think about this, right? Like Rumors is one of the most popular albums of all time. I think an album that you could go to any generation, they could be 100 years old, they could be 5 years old, and they know Rumors.
Yeah.
And imagine playing them Peter Green, Fleetwood Mac. And they would sit there and they would toss it in your face and say, "This is not Fleetwood Mac."
No, oh, for sure. Yeah, no, exactly.
And then the Peter Green, you know, bluesy Fleetwood Mac people would be, "Are you serious? This was before they sold out."
Yeah.
There was Fleetwood Mac well before there was Rumors and Tusk and Mirage and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny because I start thinking about the bands I like. And I think, again, the perspective thing of like the bands I like or don't like or whatever it is, there's both of them, right? Like, and so it goes back to that whole thing of like, did they sell out, quote unquote, or did they find their sound, quote unquote?
Yeah.
You know, Fleetwood Mac's a perfect example of the person who grew up on Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac would be 100 million people would look at them like they were crazy if they were critical of Rumors.
Yeah, exactly. Well, John brings up a good question, and I don't know if I could answer it though. I don't know if there's a lot of bands where if they've got, let's say they've got more than just two, because there's lots of bands where there's 2 albums and they can pick. But if let's say someone did 5, I don't know if there's a band that has 5 albums and I really liked one and then I didn't find anything redeeming on the other 4. I don't know that one I'd have to think about actually. So, and you were talking about it too the other night, Alex. Another example I think that you brought up was Metallica, right?
Oh,
When the Black Album or the whatever we call it.
Yeah,
Call it the
1991.
Black Album hit. And there's pre the Black Album Metallica and post the Black Album
Yeah.
Metallica. And then there's those of us that just like it all. I mean, I don't have a problem with it all. I like it all up to
That's why
70.
I like it all.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah,
of it.
exactly. So, but I don't know.
yeah. It is so fascinating too, because I think the other thing, and these are part of like the music business, quote unquote, that I wish I had a better understanding and grasp of and experience in, is that I think we as fans probably come from a perspective that if bands are playing in clubs and theaters or whatever, that they have it really good. And the reality is that in art and music, there's a struggle there, and the pressures to put out a hit record are monumental.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And there's so much, I think, what we would call like gatekeeping. I mean, think about those bands that you loved when they were small and no one knew about them.
Yeah.
And there's this weird dichotomy, because you want them to be successful and you want them to be rich and famous and all that, but you also don't want anybody to know about them except you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I get that. And a really, really good example of that, at least, and all the other Canadians have left, for me was the Tragically Hip.
Yeah.
I think that falls into it, where it was like, man, these guys should be the biggest thing in the world, I think, or one of them, but we're just going to keep them in Canada. Nobody else can have them, right? But so, yeah, it comes down to a little bit of that too. So, but.
Hey, Alex, this goes back to your previous comment. I was going to interject. I like to find the great. What do you think about why I don't have them, but I keep hoping I come across the Grateful Dead's first 3 albums from 67, 68, 69. I suppose you have those.
Yeah, I do have those. Yeah, I mean,
were they psychedelic on the first album? I've never heard it.
Yeah. Well, even the first album is different. Actually, their first 3 are very
different,
odd, and then they do their own stuff. Yeah, I mean, the first album's really psyche, bluesy, almost poppy
psych stuff. I like psych.
But Anthem of the Sun, I think, is a fascinating one, because that's like it's a collage, what they would call like a collage album, where the producer basically took a whole bunch of shit and made a collage out of it to make songs. Like, it's not let's record like 3 to 4 minute songs. Like, it's all types of patches all over the place. They're a tough band. I remember it's like, I always think it's like where you come from. Like, their live album, Live Dead, which has become known as like one of the greatest live albums of all time. If you're coming from a place of like technical production and like all that kind of stuff, that's not the easiest listen.
Is it really?
Because it's just so different, and it's not. I mean, like, there are moments where you're like, "Was that out of tune?" It might have been out of tune. But it's part of it, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I bought the
Cool.
last night of the box set, I think, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And honestly, I shouldn't say I'm not a Dead fan. I don't have a lot of their music. I've never disliked them. I've never gotten deep into them, but I bought the box set and I enjoyed it. But there's parts of it where it's like, are you guys there? Like, was the tape really rolling? Like, there's parts of it, and it's good. And you just have to, again, it goes back to taking it for what it's worth and just listening to it and enjoying it. And maybe I won't enjoy it another time, but enjoy it the one time that you are listening to it, or the few times you listen to it. So,
yeah.
But
yeah. And also, like, recognizing too that here's always been my thing. If there's a record that we're into now that we weren't into 5 years ago, then we should be able to recognize that a record that we're not into now, we might be able to be into down the road.
Sure. Yeah.
I think about. I remember this is so funny. Like, honestly, like not being into Led Zeppelin the first couple times, which is like heresy around these parts, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, you're not into Zeppelin, who are you? But like I was listening to like progressive metal, right? Like I was listening to like these people who were, educated at Berklee College of Music and had like full master's degree in music composition and like could shred like anybody else. And I remember hearing Heartbreaker and thinking Jimmy Page couldn't play, like what a sloppy player.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I look back at that as like, okay, yeah, you were a dumb like 13-year-old. But at the, you know what I mean? Like it's funny that was how I took one way of looking at music and I carried it over to the other genre. And now I'm like, what an idiot you were. But yeah, I mean, it's just funny. Like there are so many records. I mean, I would love to hear. I mean, are there records for you all that you were like, I hated this record, and then later you were like, okay, I've grown to respect and appreciate that a lot more.
Oh yeah, there's tons of them. I mean, or there was the one. I'll use Dire Straits as an example. I really liked the first album. I kind of got away from them. Brothers in Arms came out. I fell back in love with them. Then I stopped listening to them again. And now, if you were to say, okay, go put something on, they're my go-to put something on.
Really?
So, yeah. And for no other reason than it's just, well, A, it's really good. And B, somewhere along the line, there was that little part of my brain that just went, yeah, that's really, really good. And it's not that I disliked them. They were just under my radar for a long time, other than, when they were at high on it, then they went away. But yeah, now they just stay consistent.
That's a good pick, John. What's funny? Let me ask you a question, Racer Joe.
Yeah. Whatever you like. I don't care. Call them shit.
If someone were to come to you and ask you if Telegraph Road was a Prog song,
which version of Telegraph Road though?
Any of them. I mean, obviously, the studio version is great. The Alchemy version is great too. But it's like that's like what, like a 13-15 minute song?
Yeah.
I love that song. But I mean, there are people who'd be like, you know what, Dire Straits dabbled in a little bit of progressive music for sure.
Sure. Yeah, a little bit, definitely. There's a lot of, I mean, I think if there's is there an instrument that is most associated with progressive, and is it keyboards? I guess is the thing. To a person that listens to a lot of it, is that a fair statement, or do you think that's just kind of the general audience's idea of it?
I don't think so. I don't think there's an instrument. I think a lot of people probably associate prog with keyboards because they think of people like Keith Emerson or Rick Wakeman. But it's interesting with going through some of these bands where it was like they might not even have had a keyboard player, or they might not even have had I think of like one of the not biggest, but like sort of a deep cut prog band from the UK is Vandergraaf Generator.
I've heard that name.
I don't know that they've ever had a guitar solo in any of their records at all.
Sure. Yeah.
But they have sax.
Yeah.
Not jazz, but they have some squonking sax.
Sure.
Going on. So I think a lot of that is sort of predisposed like expectations of what it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a fascinating thing. And yeah, John, I'll agree. Telegraph, I mean, it's just a masterpiece song. I love that song.
Yeah, it is, definitely. And all of their albums sound so good too. That's the other thing. So
yeah, they do.
Like even Canadian first pressings or Canadian pressings, originals, they all sound really good. If you were to get the Mo-Fis and all the rest of this that's coming out now, some of theirs be fantastic. So, but
yeah.
They're a band that, like I said, was never gone from my radar, but has really shown back up. And Peter Gabriel is that a little as well. And the only reason I say that, one of the reasons I say that, and there's actually Catherine does a pretty good video about her Peter Gabriel collection. I like her stuff. I've been watching a little bit of hers. But I used to, part of the nightclub DJ was I worked in a place and we used just videos. It was Beta Hi-Fi back in like 1987, 88, Beta Hi-Fis. And so everybody would want to see Sledgehammer. So Sledgehammer, fell into that category if I never not just hear it, if I ever see the video again, despite the fact it's an amazing video. If I never see the video again, I die a happy man. So
Right.
that jaded me so much. And then, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I put on So and went, well, I don't care about that one song that I really dislike. The rest is so very good. No pun intended. So, but
No, and I don't know if you see it, but I got a chance to see Peter Gabriel several months ago here.
did you? Yeah.
And I mean, his live show just like changed my entire.
Yeah.
You know, I told people like I went into that show liking Peter Gabriel a lot, going back to like early Genesis days. It's my favorite era of Genesis, and I've always liked and enjoyed all the solo records. But I went into that show liking Peter Gabriel a lot, and I left it being in love with Peter Gabriel. I mean, like, it blew me away.
Yeah, I think there are those. Go ahead, Dave.
I'd rather listen to Peter Gabriel than Phil Collins. Phil Collins is all I'll say.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of artists, and I don't know. I back to what I was talking about earlier about that song that you could take away. There's a lot of artists where there's that one song that if you pull it out, you would. I mean, I don't. It's not that I don't. Again, I love everything Peter Gabriel. It was that one song kind of jaded me just because I was so sick of it.
I want to be your sledgehammer.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, boys. I'm fading quick here. I know you are all on a little bit behind in terms of the. I guess you're what on Central Time, Central Standard.
I'm in Mountain.
Mountain or something. It's
Mountain,
11.
yeah,
It's 11:40.
Hey, Alex, before you go, one of these days I'm going to get a. Do I look? I'm going to get I need a webcam with a ring light. Some people tell me because they say if I turn this on, it looks too bright. That looks good. What do you think?
I think it looks good. I mean, I think both of them look fine. Yeah, I wouldn't have said anything, but other people are like, professionals or whatever. But I think it looks fine.
I was on some. I've been on dozens of live streams this summer. I'm a live stream slut. Really. Seriously, you guys don't know how many live streams.
That's all right, though.
There's two smart asses in the peanut gallery said I look better with these two lights over here on. So I don't know.
Fuck the peanut gallery, man.
Exactly.
I know exactly.
So you just do you, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, it looks good, man. It looks fine.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Joe, Dave, good to see you both. Good talking to you both. Yeah. I mean, Joe, we do this every Wednesday, and usually it's on Glenn Calloway's channel.
Okay.
And recently I've started doing he usually goes like we stop after a good 2 hours, right? We just stop. But sometimes we're like having so much fun, want to keep going. So I'll host this like quote unquote after dark thing.
The after party. Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that.
Slot. Remember that midnight to 2 a.m. slot? I like that time.
See, exactly. I'm doing back to radio. So
exactly.
Yeah. Well, hey, and appreciate you all. Yeah. See you, Dave. See you, Joe. John, thanks for all the comments and watching. Sam, Jason, if you're still out there, I freaking hate you both. And I hope the demons come and steal your soul tonight and you never are happy again. Joe, good talking to you, brother.
Yeah. Love to be on whenever you guys have a chance. I'll sit around and talk music anytime. So thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers, brother. Be good, man.
Take care. Peace.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.